Futures downside here ever so slightly this morning to get going into the month of September. If you haven't looked at a calendar, welcome to, it feels like fall around here already, coming off a positive performance for all three U.S. markets in the month of August. I saw pretty good, actually, right across the board for the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow. We are negative, as I mentioned, about 0.5% for both the S&P and the NASDAQ right now to the downside, coming off a pretty good rally into the close on Friday, heading into the long weekend. Not a heck of a lot on the economic calendar this morning, coming up at 9:45 and 10 o'clock. A little bit of PMI data, S&P version at 9:45, then the ISM at 10 o'clock. A ton of employment data coming this week. We'll get the ADP private payrolls. We'll get the JOLTS number, and then the big one on Friday with the August non-farm payrolls. I was browsing through the CME Fed Funds tool, watch tool anyways, this morning. I mean, they're still showing 75 basis points worth of cuts coming off by the end of the year. So they're going to have to get started here in September. It's just a matter of how much. A
lot of analysts want him to pull the Band-Aid off, just get it done. Let's get that 50 basis points cut right in September. A lot of analysts saying, you know, he's behind the curve here. He needs to catch up, as you alluded to, 75 basis points by the end of the year. The market already feeling like it's a risk off to start September here, Brendo.
Yeah. More importantly, how was your long weekend?
It was good. It was good. A lot of outdoor activities, which is what I needed. A lot of fresh air. How about yourself?
Yeah.
Obviously, vacation was amazing.
Can't complain. It was nice. No, it was nice. Good to take a break and get recharged. But I mean, there's a lot to discuss on the individual side of things this morning as well. Here's Boeing, tough to see, but here's Boeing down 3.7% right now on these strike headlines or potential strike headlines. 167 trying to hold. I was noticing Bitcoin as well, trying to bounce off some key areas right now. 57, 56 coming into play. That's a weekly chart for BTC, still holding up pretty nicely. Happy Tuesday, guys. Welcome to September.
It is September, isn't it?
I just like the fact that it's Tuesday. I think Tuesday is nice.
I like that.
You know, you always miss Mondays, but...
Well, do we miss Mondays? Yeah, you do miss Mondays.
It's great to have Brendan back, but it always feels like a Monday when you come back off a long weekend.
Well, I'm like...
This guy fell down.
Yeah, we were like, oh, we don't get Michael because it's a Tuesday and not a Monday.
Oh, that's right. When we mentioned, I didn't even think about that. I was like, we do have Michael today.
See, you would think, and actually,
we don't.
I don't know why we don't. I don't know why we don't do this, but it's like if we're starting the week, right? Like we should just start the week the same way we usually do. But the good thing is, well, I guess I don't know if it's good or bad. Kids aren't at school, so it's weird. I think most kids are in school, but they're not in school here. At least mine.
No. Kids are starting. Yeah.
Well, it depends on where you are.
Does it? I think TDSB starts.
You guys started?
Yeah, we started. Yeah. Oh, everybody started. Yeah.
My in-laws had to stay over last night because we're both in the office today. So that's always going to be fun. Boo Bitcoin. Boo Boeing.
But it's still 59.
Yay,
it's still 59 too.
Under 60,000, I'm booing. Over 60,000, we can celebrate just for the fun of it, because I think that's like a trend level. Yeah. And Tesla's looking pretty good today. So their robo-taxi event they're going to do in like a Hollywood studio, apparently. So we'll see. That's in a month, though.
Many kids started weeks ago in the United States. It's wild that we don't even start till Labor Day.
It's so weird. But I like the whole Labor Day long weekend, and then you go back into school. That's how it always was.
Beginning of August, they're saying, Daryl says.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right. Yeah, so we'll start today down 0.66. Look, the NASDAQ is not near its all-time highs, but the S&P 500 is a whisper away from an all-time high. They were down about 0.5% there coming into today. Now you're down another half, so you're about 1.5 away from an all-time high on the ES. Doesn't really feel like that. NASDAQ, a little bit of a different story here, as even if we look at the TQQs, you know, your all-time high is up here at 85. You're now down to 68. If we switch that over to just the NASDAQ NQ $F, you'll see you're still not, you know, it hasn't been the greatest move down, but off of that low that we saw at the beginning of the month, actually turned, I believe the month was actually positive, all in all there for the S&P, NASDAQ, and the Dow. So we'll see what happens here, but you're not too far away. That's 20,100, let's just say the all-time high. Yeah, 20,1005. Back down into 19.5 right now. So just a little bit of a haircut off there. I think it's 3 and a bit%. So we'll wait to see if the NASDAQ can battle back here in September, which of course is historically been the worst month. So yeah, not great. But for everybody that was saying sell, I mean, the S&P is near highs, so it's definitely been resilient over the last little bit. Made back that whole loss from August 5th. So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, good way to start the month. We'll see what happens here. We got Intel on our mind a little bit.
We're just talking about longer term type ideas as well. It's a good time to kind of take a look at the portfolio and say, what are we going to do here going into the end of the year? I mean, there's some things I was noticing. I was looking through a few charts last night. There's some things that are looking kind of good and in a place where you might want to, revisit maybe adding to a few things. But as you were saying, do you just kind of trim some here and see what happens after November?
Well, that's the thing, right? Seasonality is just played over and over in the last 4 years. So it's like you already kind of know what to expect. We expected a strong October last year. We didn't get one. We got a strong November. And so, I feel the fall, especially starting after Labor Day, is super choppy. So
Apple event to come in a couple of weeks, I think. It's coming up here pretty quickly. But Apple, one of those, a little bit of a tail. Top end of that's, again, a weekly chart for Apple coming back in through to maybe 225. You get another test of 225. But, looking really good ahead of their iPhone 16 event. There's a minor headline this morning on Apple. I'm going to move away entirely from LCD screens on their device, on their phones specifically, to OLED devices, including right through to the SE.
Yeah, which is what they've been doing. So they've been using it on their higher end device. Anything that's not SE has had an OLED. If you've had the iPhone SE model, you've had the LCD display. There's also this headline coming from Apple as well. Huawei wants to kind of front run a little bit of the Apple event coming up on Monday. They want to do theirs on September 10th. Here's what Richard Yu, which is Huawei CEO, is saying. He's hinting at a leading, innovative, and disruptive product, Brendo, and he said it's epoch-making and has been in the works for 5 years. This sounds all of a sudden like PayPal again, where he's going to shake the world. This better be good. So we'll see what he got.
On top of course, a ton of AI to come for Apple as well. On the EV side of things, we'll talk about Tesla here a little bit more, I'm sure, coming up. But I wanted to mention Polestar because I was in Europe in 2 different countries, actually. And in 2 different countries, there are a ton of Polestars, like more so than I saw anything else, or notably anything else in both. I was in Austria and Hungary. Also stores, like actual physical storefronts, stood out way more than anything else. I was actually looking for Tesla stores or any kind of storefront for other models as well, but it was Polestars that I just kept seeing everywhere.
Yeah, I told you. I put a little bit of a bet on this one. I made that clear to our viewers. Here's the thing. They opened up a new manufacturing plant in South Carolina, so they're going to be able to circumvent this 100% tariff now that's ensconced all of North America, Mexico, the United States, and Canada all have 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs. Polestar is owned half by Geely and half by Volvo, so they're half Swedish, half Chinese. They're going to circumvent some of these tariffs. So that's why I threw my hat into the ring there.
Yeah, minor headline for them this morning as well. New CFO coming through, former Stellantis executive being named as Polestar's new CFO, guys. Decent volume behind this past couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's starting. I mean, it's starting to go. It's like that dollar breakout sometimes that you see with a penny stock. So here, let's go with the daily, man. And it's been, was it every day? No, it wasn't every day last week. It was just the last 3 days of the week. You actually ended up on strength, breaking back above $1, breaking out. I guess prior resistance was like a 110 level. So this actually looks interesting. I don't mean the volume today doesn't seem overwhelming to me here. It's not a huge short float. It's like a 9% short float. We do get them. Yeah, like they're going to get to like obviously like 144 is like the 200 period, but who cares? It's the $1.50 level, I suppose, that will be the next stop. And you're halfway there already. So if there was a little bit better volume, I'd probably be saying, why not just go long? Like, look at the barcode at 120. Say, well, why wouldn't you just be long out in front of $1.20? Anytime I see something like this is pretty much the entirety of the day. Like we go up at the morning, and then for the whole session, there's a $1.20 offer, and it closes at 122. I just don't really love the pre-market volume being so low, but yeah, like the 120 did that much volume sideways. Usually you just want to look long out in front of it at 21 or 22 if you see that today, if it's going to hold. let's see what happens off of the open. But nice little move here for Polestar. Certainly when these things get back above $1, it can be a catalyst on its own, as you don't have to worry about non-compliance in those things.
It's just a 9.3% short float, so it's not a huge short float, but it's enough. And I mean, maybe this stock does work. You see this little Swedish flag right there? We know that it's a Volvo story as well. They're taking a part in this, so we can see. I mean, I think that there's definitely a moat a little bit around them. They've sold enough cars now to sort of proof of concept, I guess. We'll see their next report. I don't even know when their next, there it is, pre-market, August 29th. We've already had it. So that's going to be something to watch out for here with Polestar. I mean, it looks like that's Intel back there, but they seem to be, operating quite well. And then Neil just talked about, this nice little run back up. I mean, that bottom was pretty good there, man. 70 cents. You've now doubled it up. I think that's probably a decent spot there. And as Neil mentioned, 145, 150 here as the 200 period moving average. That would be great to spike through that. I mean, that would be a fantastic trade. This is just the RSI up here. It's not really going to matter for a stock like this, but it is getting high again. Last time we had such an RSI up here, we had fallen back in and the same thing. But RSI generally get overextended as the stocks continue to go higher, right? So that would make sense there. For Polestar, I would say watch out for 150. Congratulations. I know Sharif is in this name as well, so I think it's been a good little run for Polestar. And then the other name, of course, we'll get to all these as we go. Rivian's trying to find a bottom as well, and that seems to be stopping in and around this 13 to 14 area here. So there are some stocks that are starting to turn around. We've seen Fisker go the other way, Workhorse, Ride, I think, Lordstown, of course, and a couple names that have really Nikola. But I think Rivian right now and Polestar, without any splits or anything like that, seem to be holding up the best of the worst.
Hey, let's hit on Boeing here. Back to long-term levels, once again, gapping to the downside here this morning. That's a weekly chart, once again, for BA. Wells Fargo with a negative note this morning, downgrading to underweight, straight to underweight for Wells Fargo, talking about cash flow, talking about some of their production targets going out to 27 and 28 might not even get hit at this point for some of these orders they've taken in the meantime. So as we said, more negativity here for Boeing. 19 of 31 brokerages right now. Still with a buy, though, on Boeing.
Yeah, it's tough here, Brendo, because now they're facing union challenges, and we've seen union activism in many different sectors. Boeing not spared here. So here's the look. If this goes through, there could be further delays, as you mentioned, to aircraft. It could also impact the company's financials. At stake here is a new contract with the union. They're threatening to walk off the job. They're arguing over things like wages, healthcare, retirement, and time off. It's with the International Association of Machinists, so it's one specific group within the union labor force, Brenda.
Back to, these are April levels on the weekly chart coming into play right now. Here pre-market, guys. What do we do here with Boeing?
The good news is there's like a double bottom support at 160, and those are like 52-week lows. So that's the good news, is that there's been buyers down here a couple of times already for Boeing. The bad news would be, the bad news is in a downward trend, and then you just heard the story. Strike news, okay, so it's not something that's coming absolutely out of nowhere necessarily, known about the deadline for a bit here. But it's just trending down into this level. So until you get to 160, I think you got to play it. That's where the support's been, so maybe like a 61 or something in front of it's going to catch a bid today. I thought this might have been a flat bottom break before this even happened. Like at the end of last week, this was setting up for a potential test of like a 170 break. If it breaks on bad news, great. If it gaps through, I think it's always a little bit trickier when you gap through a support level that you wanted to trade through. So it's not likely going back up to 170 to give a pop and fade. That's what I put in my note this morning. It's rather unlikely. But I think I want to look trend down in Boeing. Until it gets to 160, 161, I would think it's got room to fall a little bit here. It's already down 4%. So any pop off the open, you got this pre-market top at 168, you got VWAP at 167.5. I'm just looking to join trend. Now that the 170 level is broken, looking shorts underneath that support, at least until you get to those big levels on the daily. And who knows when this is going to actually turn itself around. It looked before like you were already getting a bottoming pattern in Boeing. Like that looked like it was a bottoming pattern the first time we got down here with the higher lows back in the 200, and then you just promptly fail right back into the low. Now we retest the low. That just tells you it's a short, to me, well, it tells me that it's a short till it's not. Like, we did not make that breakout. It couldn't get through 200 bucks. Now it seems to be hunting for the bottom again. Like, Boeing just, there's always something here. Like, it's just a bad story a week or whatever catalyst you need to have it continue this trend into the downside. So I'm just going to be looking short into 170. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, Boeing here, look, we like the stock. I think it's a buy at some point. I mean, it keeps on bouncing off these levels. So you just kind of waiting for bad news, I feel like, if you're an investor, because we know that it can go. We know the monopolistic traits of this company. And the thing is like, there's not going to be many stocks that you're going to be able to get right now that have, sort of the cash situation. I mean, they're not, I don't think, did they cut their dividend or they don't have a big one anyways? You don't want to buy this name for a dividend, especially when you're dropping 4% in one day. But at the end of it all, I think there's some kind of value here. We were just at 185, a couple bad stories. This is not going to help this stock by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just kind of like that Starbucks, Nike kind of play here. This is a little more serious, but at the end of the day, you're buying sort of a brand name here. And Boeing, although, we don't like the stock, at some point it's going to be a buy. Is that some point going to be down here? I don't think you buy it now. I just wonder if you start to nibble a little bit, if you do get into this 160 area and take a shot, that could be something. But for a day trade today, yeah, you have to be looking short, right? I mean, the trend is really down. So I would say, yeah, any sort of a pop up today, we look to short that. We could check the imbalance locator. We did make a really great trade there on Friday. There was New Holdings was a huge buy. We had like 100 million to buy there on Friday, and it really made a move at the end of the day. I mean, hold on a second. Let me just get New in here so you guys can see this crazy move. Today, you're going to be shorting that name probably down 1.8 million for the sell side and down over 4%. But this is, come on, that's not Boeing. There it is. News only down 2%. But look at this run up that we had on the imbalances on Friday. As soon as those imbalances dropped in, this went from 1475. And thank you for all the nice notes. I actually got a couple messages on Twitter for showing this imbalance, and people made like infinitely more money than what I would have thought on this trade. You guys really plowed into this one. There was 100 million to buy here, and this thing went from 1475 all the way to 1505. And some of the P&L numbers that you guys showed were through the roof. So congratulations on that one, and you're welcome. And a lot of them they had no idea. They heard us talking about the imbalances, and they really some people punching into 50, 60, 70,000 shares. And I mean, this name wound up going up 20 cents almost in a straight line. So that was a great trade. We actually, it's too bad our ticks aren't here, because we bought this right here, 71, 72s, and had it all the way up. And some of our best outs were near 15. So that was an absolutely incredible trade. And I just want to thank everybody for the kind notes. And that's why we're here, right? To show you things hopefully you don't see anywhere else. So yeah, that was New Holdings, and what a great trade. That was
only place you'll see it live.
Yeah, exactly. And today, period. I don't think anybody should.
Well, at all, actually.
At all, yeah. But there's New Holdings again, down 2% with a slight sell imbalance. So
maybe it is New Bank. I mean,
Mike Crehan, 39
months.
Congratulations there, Mike Crehan.
39 months. Shout out to you, Mike.
He sent me those shoes that one time. Those were great shoes. Yeah, those were great shoes.
I got caught watching. So for some reason, I got suggested to me on YouTube, and I was going to go over Super Chat, but you just mentioned shoes.
Yeah, go over the Super
Chat. I keep getting suggested these videos, and it's just a dude who people try to scam selling him fake Jordans.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, I've never watched any of these videos before, and then all of a sudden, it's like it popped my feed. I'm like, I'm not
I've never seen
And then it came to my feed again, and I'm like, and then it came to my feed a third time. Like, let me just watch one of these. And it's essentially the guy just being like, yo, bro, these are fake. Did you know they're fake? And in every single video, it's the same thing.
Well, but the guy's selling fake ones?
No, so he has a shoe store, and people come up to him selling him shoes.
Okay.
And then all he does is tell them that these are fake and this is why. And I'm like, this is
Are they all fake? Or
the video I saw, every single one of them was fake. Like, no one actually had real shoes. I'm like, this is entertaining.
I would go to a shoe store trying to sell shoes. That's why, honestly, SneakerCon, they have, right in the middle, they have like a big eBay, like a verification spot.
Exactly.
So when you're buying your shoes there from somebody, you can go there and sort of get them appraised. But anyways, yeah. I mean, It's a huge thing.
It's a huge, obviously it's a big business. People are always going to try to scam, get a leg ahead. I did want to thank JK 146, JKL 146. Thanks for the super chat here. Appreciate you, of course, and appreciate all our viewers. Am I nutty thinking I see an inverse head and shoulders forming on Nvidia? I mean, look, obviously you're always going to be able to find like little things. I don't know. I'm going to presume that you're just looking at the daily chart here, because that's the only assumption I can make. And you're like, oh, so shoulder, head, shoulder. I could presume maybe that's what you're looking at, or maybe you think one's going to start to form in here again, where you have this, and then the other shoulder could turn up here at like 123. Again, like I said, I don't necessarily know which one you're looking at, but if you are thinking that, then a lot of times if you hold that, like if we're talking about the one on the daily, like it's kind of, we lose 117, not, that's no longer valid. You hold on to this 117 and then you would go higher. That's the notion that you're looking at. I would tend to agree that the 117 is a very key, like where we're at right now is a very key price level, regardless. You can just sort of look, post earnings, this is that bottom. So on the daily, if this is that shoulder that needs to bounce in order for you to get that move up in the inverse head shoulder, then this is obviously the level we got to look at. Like if we're not holding 117 today, I think you're headed downside on Nvidia. It's kind of like an over-under level, and then 120 is going to be a key one. So like anything else, these chart patterns, you can find something that looks like whatever you want, or something that's going to confirm your hypothesis. I try to stick to, okay, what's it saying, and where's the key price level to watch today? I think it's right here, literally this 117.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about a few charts. That was actually one of them, Nvidia, that I was looking at that looks kind of decent. I mean, some of these chips, you were just talking about Micron a little bit. They're a little bit worse off, but some of these chips coming back into decent support levels at this point.
Yeah, Micron is well off those levels, Brenda, but we were talking about Intel possibly, reclaiming that $25 area. It got a nice little bounce last week when we got some decent news after that big drop that we had to begin the month there. It did defend that $20 level, trying to bounce back up a little bit here. Nvidia will be on watch today. Lots to talk about today in terms of semiconductors. A lot of beta there recently, Brenda.
Yeah, we'll get into it more here in the rundown, but I wanted to mention this real quick. Here's the SMH. Even if you go out to some of the ETFs, I mean, it looks pretty good. Pulls back into some longer-term support levels, trying to bounce here for SMH back to the upside as well. With the overall market, might take maybe some headlines, guys, to help these get going once again.
Chip names?
Yeah, well, you guys mentioned Micron. Man, Micron's been having a rough time. Specifically that name.
It broke 100, yeah.
Yeah, like it's a really bad looking chart. Like in your mind, you think of, like we look at the AMD chart. We've all seen that one, time and time again, relatively speaking to Nvidia. We've all seen Intel's chart, so we know on a daily basis what these ones are looking like, but it's not great for Micron. And it's actually looking like if we don't get back above 100, like this could easily be in the 80s. And when do you strike on that? Like this broke a long upward trend. I used to actually have both sides of this trend line, and it's kind of like right in here where it broke the trend, and then just exploded. It came all the way back, and that was a trend going back to mid-2022. So the fact that it had that big of a break into a double up and has almost been cut in half. Like almost cut in half. And we're not talking, this is just like late June for Micron. I know it's a cyclical name, but sheesh. It's kind of nasty. So it's probably been a better trading vehicle than we give it credit for. Like I look back and I had written off 149 for AMD on my chart, and I'll show you just to jump back, like 149 AMD, like there's kind of an obvious key level. You got support, you got resistance every single day. So, if it doesn't break out there, there's your top end of the range. You can short that. Micron was giving you the same thing at $98. Like $98. If it's still weak, I don't know if you're going to get that 98 again. But this is an interesting one. It closed at the same price 2 days in a row. It looks like just above 96. So that would give you something to work with if you wanted to join the trend. Kind of chart that looks like short till it ain't over there with Micron. And apparently, we've got some upgrades and downgrades to get to.
Ooh.
Autodesk here at the top of the list, getting this upgrade from Goldman Sachs after their earnings last week. Bank of America getting upgraded by Deutsche Bank. We know this one's been on watch with some sales here from Berkshire Hathaway. We've Redfin getting upgraded by B. Riley Securities and IFF with an upgrade from Mizuho. Deutsche Bank getting downgraded here by JP Morgan Chase. So a couple different analyst moves here from Deutsche Bank with regards to these financial companies. We have Exane BNP Paribas getting downgraded by MasterCard. Novartis here with the downgrade from Jefferies Financial. And last but not least, CME Group down about 2% with this downgrade from BofA Securities, guys.
Autodesk. Little bank-on-bank crime
Yeah, I was
there.
going to say they're starting to downgrade JP Morgan. But the thing is, when you're looking at a JP Morgan there, and you got to read the report on why it's downgraded and all this kind of stuff and yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, I mean, these banks continue to excel, right? We've seen the XLF. The XLF has broke out a long time ago, and it's had like 5 or 6 straight up days. Look at this chart for JP Morgan. Like, you're going to downgrade this? That's a nice story. Like, this is 195. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you, JP Morgan. Oh, wow, Jamie Dimon. Wow, his cash is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, how rich is this guy getting right now? Like, this is just an absolute rocket ship to the north side. So thank you for downgrading right now. That's really nice and sweet. But honestly, man, I mean, I don't know if there's going to be any point to that. I don't think this is going to stop. If you can get this down into 215 or so, I think you just keep on buying the best names. We've talked about this name for a very, very long time. Riding this 50-period moving average, man, just keeps on going. Yeah, so JP Morgan, I think you take advantage of downgrades and buy the dip. So for me, I don't see anything wrong at all with the banking sector right now in the States. Everybody we have on keeps on liking these ETFs. They look fine. I mean, this is an ETF. Boom. I mean, we could talk about the NASDAQ being in trouble, holding on to Nvidia shares or whatever, but this is the case for diversification. I mean, if you're going to be in every sector or sprinkle around, you're definitely happy that you're in the financial sector right now. So nice move up there for many banks. KRE also looking nice as you get ready for interest rate cuts. I think Brendan's right on, man. It's going to be 75 basis points by the time this year comes to an end. And banks apparently are ready for that. And XLF treating itself appropriately by just ripping right now.
Yeah, looking absolutely fantastic. I find what's interesting is, I don't know, like each of these, like look at this run and then look at that run. Like the red days, yeah, you just go up 8 days in a row on JPM and then you have a red day. So technically speaking, this would be the 9th day of the last move. So I don't know, maybe it's going to have a red day today because of that. No, all jokes aside, how you can't look at charts of Micron and whatever else we were looking at to the downside. Boeing, I guess, was an example, and those things are shorts till they're not, and that generally means you look for resistance levels to pop into. In the case of JPM, I suppose you're always looking for a dip. It just turned off 225, so the theory that it's up like 8 days in a row, like could it have a red day? Sure, it can have a red day. That actually makes some sense. You get a consolidation day or a pullback day, but the big support clearly was at 219. You're theoretically maybe forming a little something here at 222. That would be interesting. Like 222 would be an interesting level for today. But when a stock goes up like 17 days out of 19 or whatever the heck it is on JP, it's something along those lines, your first look should be long in the theory and trying to find a long as long as it tries to close positive. It might be tricky today because of that 225 level. Probably still a long till it ain't.
That's spammy. I wanted to mention some airlines real quick. We were talking about Boeing earlier. Here's LUV. Southwest gapping higher this morning to the tune of, what is it, about 0.5%, I guess. Not a huge move, but clearing some long-term levels here on the daily chart anyways for love on a positive analyst move here. Who was it again? I just saw it. Evercore with an upgrade on Southwest this morning, going to outperform.
Yeah, they're liking this, Brendo. We've seen issues with demand for domestic travel. It was really international that was paying the bills, and some of the more domestic carriers were suffering. Love one of those as well, but it looks like the winds of change may be coming here. Evercore ISI giving them the nod with an outperform and a price target up from 30 to 35.
Yeah, we'll see how Boeing, or if Boeing, can bounce back here a little bit this morning as we get going. Half an hour to go. Ahead of that, let's have a look at the overall market to kick things off here at 9 o'clock.
5660, guys, is where we closed out on Friday. That has been the resistance level that we have been at since the second half of August. We have not been able to take that level on a closing basis. So let's go ahead and use that 5660 up to 5675 as that level of resistance. Right now, we're down at 56.25. If we can hold 5,600, let's use that as support.
All right, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you go down to the description of this video right now. There's a link there waiting for you for the watch list. All you have to do, click the link, enter your email address, and then we do all your homework for you and just send it to you, because that's what we do. It just comes right to your inbox every single morning, has everything you need to know on it. Daily in the pre-market, let's talk Tesla. Had a pretty good end to the week last week. Basically went out at the highs, as did the overall market going into the long weekend, gapping higher here this morning. A six-seater version of the Model Y coming to China.
I got questions, Brendo. We know that there's a new Model Y coming out, Jupiter, whatever they're calling it. Is the six-seater going to be on the new one, or is it going to be on the current variant? Number one. Number two, we already know that they make this. They've been making the 7-seat, 6-seat variant with the Model X for a long time, so it's not like they haven't had that in their lineup. But they're the only Mag 7 that's green in the morning, so let's see what they do.
Yeah, taking advantage of it anyways. We put the image, I don't have it with me right now, but we put the image on the thumbnail of the stream this morning. I mean, it looks kind of weird. That's obviously just a rendering, but to me it looks kind of weird.
We also have a poll up.
I have to check that rendering.
Which Tesla would you pick? And right now the Model S is in the lead. Model Y gets number 2. There you go, a little Model Y action in there. I like the way the back looks there. Model X, 24%. Model 3, down, only 11% of you like the Model 3. So look, we like the fact that they're green today. It's always more fun when stocks are up than down, but the actual market just pulled back into 0.8 to the downside, and I just saw a little bit of a tick down. Yeah, Nvidia is retesting its low, so 116.5. Nvidia is starting to come down a little bit here. So you got relative strength in Tesla. I think that's good. Last week was the story of, there was just a wick now. I have to get rid of that one. Last week, it was basically this 215 area or level. I guess I can do this again. 215. So many times we tried to break it, like there's a break and fail. It was just pop and fade for a couple of days, and then we ended the week looking strong, and now you're back above that 215 zone. So you close 214, you get 215 resistance, you hold that and let it fly. You're bouncing off the 200 period moving average, the 50s at 221, so I think there's room from one station to the next, but all of a sudden with this market pulling back in, even Tesla's starting to dip. So this is your close area, the 14, and then the 15 level. To me, that's the target zone. I want to be looking long as we hold on to them. If you can't hold the prior close, Tesla goes red. I'm not trying to catch a falling knife in this. I like the long because it's relatively strong, because it regained these price levels that were resistance last week. If it can't hold on to them, I'm not a gigantic fan. And just one quick cursory look over at Rivian. Usually I'll try to group these in together when we're at least remotely looking at this one on the week. Pretty simple for Rivian. I don't necessarily think we get there, but after what happened the middle of last week, where you can see above $14.50 on Rivian, it couldn't break out. Any pushes to the upside, once you get at or above 14.5 on Rivian, would be looking for shorts. If it breaks these highs, sort of let it fly. But that could be a level pretty much all week. It's also the 50 period on the daily.
All right. As far as Tesla is concerned, I mean, I think it's going to be a trading opportunity, obviously, as the market. Well, I mean, right now the market's starting to head down, which kind of sucks. I mean, the Nasdaq I think is due for a little bit of a rebalance a little bit here as we talk about what September could bring. Feel a little red on what we're going to be doing today, but I've written down here. I mean, it is going to be on the sticky note, which is now out. It's going to be my number one trade idea. Was going to be and is still going to be going long. So I wrote down here Tesla, 214 support area to get long on dips, 212 is the bottom to watch. So I really like Tesla here today. Off the sticky note, you can go find it at Trader TV, Sean. I just think that coming into 214 where we closed on Friday, this seems like good news, right? New model, we'll get some talks about it. It's a positive name. A lot of the time, all you need is momentum. Right now, momentum's higher. So this name, when we wrote this sticky note down, was in and around this 216, 217 area. You're dropping in a little bit. I like the trade. 212 right here is what we're looking at as like an bottom. If we can come all the way back into here, that is the 200 period on a 20-minute chart, and an area that when we broke it, it was nice, and when we didn't, it was down. So I think 212, if this really gets a little bit nasty out here. I think 212 could be something, but I'm going to sit here in and around 214. But if 214 breaks, guys, then I'm out. Like, that's going to be pretty much a little bit of a tap out area here for Tesla. That's going to be right into here. I mean, you can use, I think you don't want to give it to 214 exactly, but this 213 area, 213.50, I just feel like if we break through there, that's enough for me to get out. That exact close was up here, but remember we had those imbalances on Friday for the end of the month. So Tesla, its home kind of is around 212. So if we can get in there before those imbalances, I feel like that's a great spot. So again, you're going to want to get long on dips today, especially if this NASDAQ kind of just does what it's doing, gets to the downside. Look for some stronger names that come to some nice support levels. And for me, Tesla would be that level. So I think 214. Remember, the only way we lost on Tesla on Friday was because we actually sat here, and as this tanked right here, we were at 209 trying to defend this bottom of 208.50. I'm not going to sit there and bid anymore. We're going to watch it, let it develop a bottom, and then get long. So that cost us on Friday on Tesla. Let's not make the same mistake now. I don't have any pending bids or offers.
All right, we'll continue along here. We were just talking about Nvidia earnings last week. Downside here this morning, once again, 2.3%. Just took out the lows, immediately gets back above 116 here, but does not look good so far for Nvidia. Minor headline for TSMC this morning. I mean, I don't even know how significant this is, but localizing neon gas production in Taiwan by 2025 for TSMC.
Yeah, it looks like they want to increase their vertical integration. They're already very vertically integrated. I'll cover Intel here. We got a headline for Intel down 1.13, Brendo. Northland maintaining their coverage on Intel with an outperform and a $42 price target. But the real news is this board meeting that's coming up in mid-September, during which Pat Gelsinger is supposed to pitch the turnaround plan to the board. Part of that turnaround plan is divestment. So what are they going to divest? Well, they're not going to be divesting their foundry business. That was made very clear this morning in an article. But what is on the table is their programmable chip division, Alterna, as well as some others. So we'll have to see exactly what he pitches here, but he already hired Morgan Stanley, and they're really getting a lot of consultation done on this.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on some of the semiconductors coming up today. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends over at Moomoo, looking to maximize your idle cash, earn 8.1% on idle funds for up to 3 months. Plus, U.S. users can take advantage of up to 15 free stocks and $300 in cash rewards. Hey, Canada, you're not left out either. Enjoy 6% on cash balances along with a 2-month commission rebate. Sign up with Moomoo and trade global markets with just one account. Gain access to extensive range of data on stocks, options, and ETFs, complemented by over 100 charting tools and indicators, price forecasting, weekly rating reports, and instant alerts, all designed to elevate your trading game. For more details and for full terms and conditions, scan the QR code and click the link in the description. Thanks to Moomoo for sponsoring this portion of the show.
I love that clean design, which if only all charts were so clean to the upside, that'd be nice. But you know what? Intel's chart was pretty clean to the upside on Friday. Actually, well, Thursday, maybe it was a good day on Thursday, but then Friday was like the big up day for Intel. And to a positive note, it got through post-earnings resistance, barely so now. It's literally at that 2180 high as we speak. But when you talk about names that are trying to find a bottom, like they are, and obviously they're trying to right the ship, and Gelsinger's going to do everything he can to keep the job and all that kind of good stuff and get this turnaround communicated to everybody. But look, if it holds on to the top end, that's that 2180, I got to think you're not filling in that kind of a gap in a single shot, but it's a wide one. And as long as you're able to hold this 2180, which is looking a little bit perilous now at the open, maybe even this top end of the range, it has a chance to go. We've already seen a couple of big days out of it, so I'm a little skeptical here. And admittedly, like I'm looking pop and fade in AMD, and if it wasn't for AMD, I think I'd be looking at it in Micron when I look back at that chart. So I'm thinking initially short AMD 149, but if the market starts heading to the downside and bouncing off overnight lows, and Intel never breaks this consolidation or even this 2180, it's got room to rally to the upside, and it could also just be a top-end breaker here as well. It's weird in that it's down 1%, so it's relatively weak to the market, but when you look at the chart for the last 3 days, it's kind of relatively strong compared to some of the other chips. Like I look at that AMD, very clear 149 resistance. We already talked about Nvidia essentially just needing to hold on to this 117 very desperately. And if we lose 117, it's an easy over-under. It's just literally last week's lows on it, Nvidia here. And as long as you're underneath them, not a fighter, but if you can wick that bottom off and somehow regain it, I think you could have some strength. But most of this looks like shorts to me. And you could almost throw Micron in there, 96 and 98, but I'm going to stick to AMD and Nvidia. Intel will be adjointed if it starts going to the upside and this market holds the lows.
All right. Yeah, semis. I mean, we're going to always be talking about these for a very, very long time, obviously, as we continue to go. So just real quick then, I have Micron fading 96, and we'll go over all this as we go. Really weak name, fade all these pops. I mean, I really think Micron's a fade. I think Intel up and at that $22.25. I put a quarter just because I want to give it a little bit of room. So I think 22, a huge fade for Intel. I mean, I told you we were going bearish today, right? So I'll turn this bull around. There's Micron short. We like the Tesla long. I like the Intel short. And then there's the fade for AMD. You can find out. I think it's going to go with Nvidia, but we're going to find out if this 2-week high sort of in and around 150 wants to hold or not. So if you're going to talk about AMD, here it comes right now. 150. I don't think we get there, but you know, weirder things have happened. You're down 1.3%. So you know, you had that nice move at the end of the day. Not even really that good for AMD, but still up to that 148, 149. If we can get up there, and I think we got to start the short. Like we were just at 147.50, right? It looks a lot easier to get up to 150 when you're there, but now this move's starting to hit to the downside. Nvidia continues to make lows, it looks like, here in the pre-market. So right now it's at its low of 116.40. So you're right here right now. Not a good move. We sold some of this on Friday up at 122.50. We talked about that live on the show, and we sold some Apple as well. But again, nice moves for Nvidia. No stock has minted more millionaires. They talked about it's something like 30-something% of Nvidia employees claim to have more than 5 million or 10 million in total net assets. So, I mean, Nvidia's made people a lot of money. I wonder if it's time to sell and get away a little bit here as the euphoria might be drifting. I don't necessarily think so, but I'm going to wait for Nvidia to try to make a bottom, and I don't really have any calls on that one yet, other than like I want to go long on Nvidia, but my bias is short. So, and then Intel, the shortest of them all. Yeah, I mean, $22 is right here. That's 22.10. I think it's insane not to be looking at this kind of a short with this day here. But you know, the market can turn on a dime, and if it does, I want to get out. So it's not a matter of trying to outsmart this stock. It's just looking at it and saying, yep, this is a short here, and if we're wrong, then I'll get out. But if you're going to put on a decent-sized position on something, you got to have something that looks like this. So you know, we've talked about this, man. This Pat Gelsinger guy has really destroyed a lot of shareholder value in this name, and you know, there's been no other semi that has sort of done like this. We talked about Micron, and I mean, I'm sure there's other names. Let's see if Intel can get going again. I mean, I think there looks like a bottom down here. I don't want to say this company is dead. I think the restructuring and everything, I think, makes sense. I don't know, definitely don't know enough about it to comment on its longevity. But right now, for today, we're shorting, and I'm shorting around 22.25 as my max pain level.
Max pain.
Max pain.
All right, let's go on to crypto here. Trying to bounce this morning. If you go to a higher time frame on Bitcoin, back to long-time support. I just brought up IBIT, 15-minute chart, trying to hold on to Friday afternoon support. If you look at anything on the tech side of things or semiconductors, absolutely ripped. Tesla even ripped into the close on Friday. These, however, did not, but looking okay here this morning, trying to bounce.
Yeah, we started below 59,000. Now we've reclaimed that level, still below 60. I was looking to see what the net outflows for BTC was yesterday because we haven't had the data from today. So it looks like we had about $46.5 million flow out of BTC and about $2.7 million flow out of Ethereum. Obviously, very small amounts here. You know, some of the investment look here is change in investor sentiment, macroeconomic events, and market volatility ahead of the Fed. So,
yeah, we'll see. Ideas, guys, for crypto today.
Yeah, looking at Mara today, and you know, as long as I keep saying, as long as we keep losing the $60,000 level, like you look at the last couple of days over the weekend, I mean, you got down to 57, but each time we keep creeping towards 60, we're just running away from that price. So psychologically, it's a big one. There was a little bit of a recovery rally that tries to take us in to 60,000. That gets faded again here today. So I look at like what's weak while all this is happening. And Mara fits the bill for that. You know, it's underneath 50 and 200 period. $19 was resistance. You had pretty much a hefty retracement, let's call it, because I don't want to call it a dump, but a hefty retracement on Thursday when it tried to break out the $18 level. So you're seeing it, like it's failed 18, there's your lower highs. It then rolled over, afternoon resistance was morning resistance, and it rolled over again. And afternoon resistance was 16.8. And so on Friday, I should say, the previous day resistance was afternoon resistance. Same thing, man. As long as we're not above 60,000, as long as we keep that general resistance area, I think just short pops until proven otherwise. And that'll be that 16.8. We closed at 16.7. So I'm looking for just an initial pop into what was a key level on Mara and then to try to fade it. As far as where this stock has had support, it's been $15. Maybe some 14 area. And when it gets down there, Mara's been along, no questions asked. But until it gets there, the trend is your friend.
Until it bends, as they say.
It's true.
Yeah, so I mean, we were looking at Mara a little bit. I mean, Neil just we can go over a lot of stuff. Coinbase is now under that $200 level. We've seen that for a minute here. It's been a couple bad days for Coinbase. And, we got under that 50-period moving average and we couldn't really break it higher. So right now, you're basically at a zone right here of no return, I feel like. If we can break below, and you're still a couple bucks away, and obviously it's going to follow. We're going to have, and you can see right here, we have Bitcoin price right down there, so we can watch out for that. But if Bitcoin doesn't hold, I think you might want to just look at Coinbase and breaking this level, 178.50. So that's sort of that bottom area. The thing is, you're going to run into a little bit of support, but that's not, now that I look at this, that's not $10 away, man. That's 165. So actually a clean break of this 178, 179 area gets you a really nice day trade, actually, or a swing trade or something. I just don't think there's going to be a bottom to support this name until you sort of get into this garbage area, which was broken out at 160. So I think if you break 178, you get to 160, and that's a good trading spot. So for me, it's Coinbase, and that's just, you can even go 180 right there. That's Friday's bottom, and then hope that you get to 178 and give yourselves $2 or so worth of room up to 182. But remember, it's very dependent on what happens here. I've been in Coinbase before in like $10 winners, and then you snap your finger, and then it's like either 15 or 5. So you got to be very, very careful on how this thing moves. The spread is also, this spread right now is actually pretty tight, man, 30 cents. I know when this stock opens up, it's hard to get fills, and you got to play the spread game. So I would say Coinbase is a short, maybe not at 180, but definitely that 178. Or 178.50, whatever that level is. So those are the levels to look at here for Coinbase for me, despite looking at the coin itself.
Apple trying to hold Friday support levels here this morning, trying to bounce right now back to 228.5. Next week we get the iPhone 16 and the launch of Apple Intelligence AI. I still don't like that, but we'll see how it goes. But just around the corner here for Apple, do we get a bounce into that event?
It's interesting, Brenda. We were getting bought up until Friday, and then Friday it was the only red Mag 7 name on the day with really no headline here. Just my perception is a key technical resistance at 230. We'll have to see if that level comes back into play. A couple of headlines, though. They're going to switch all their models now to OLED. Most of them were already on OLED. Some were on LCD, the SE models. And then Huawei, true to form, wants to front run Apple's event on Monday by broadcasting or issuing it on the same day, but more China time. We'll do it here Pacific time.
No one will care.
No one.
What is that? What are they on, the P45 at this point?
P50 Mate Pro,
is it really?
Remember, was the breakthrough 5G chip that they did in the fall?
Yeah.
No one understood how they made it. We'll see.
2 in a row, I guess, back to back. They're coming up next week, Huawei and Apple, guys.
Made it with magic. Don't worry about how they made it, because when you have all these restrictions on advanced chips, There's absolutely no way that you can get around that. No, not going to happen. When there's billions of dollars to be made, no chance that technology and companies are going to find a way. It doesn't, whatever, it doesn't matter. So they're going to do their event right after Apple's. Fine, fair, fun. I don't think necessarily most of us care about that too much. But you're right. It was so relatively weak on Friday. And we got a question. We got a super chat about, does Nvidia look like a head and shoulders? Again, I'm no chartered market technician, but Apple did something like that on a 15. All of Thursday looks like the head. Now, okay, fine, one shoulder's higher than the other. I really don't care. It's what it tells you. To me, it just says we had a bit of a false break through $230 on Apple. So you have a bit of a false break through 230, and when you see something like that and it's a consolidative kind of stock, I look as simple as, okay, well, where's the resistance? That's the 230 level. Even late in the day, right at the end of the day, this thing tried to pop in and get to 230. And then slammed right back down into the imbalances, or into the close, I should say, back in 229. So I think 230 is kind of like that wall. If we get to 230, I think that's a short on Apple. Like a lot of other things, maybe you get there, maybe you don't. As long as we're underneath it, I am going to be looking short. Unless it's 225, then I think I would probably consider long. So pop and fade for me on Apple. I think the event's going to do great. I think they're going to sell a ton of phones, but I just see it locally rejected the 230 break last week. And when you reject a breakout on a consolidative stock, I think the previous resistance is likely to turn into current resistance or go back to being current resistance at 230.
Yeah, I was talking about selling some Apple there on Friday. I mean, I don't, it's what is it called, like the Glow event or something like that, coming through for Apple. I think it's going to, and we talked about this on Friday, despite what's happening today, I still think, I mean, Apple only down a quarter, the market's, now it's battling back, but it's doing better than the market. This is not going to be a name that I'm going to look to short, and I think we can get back to highs, and we probably do take it out. What day is it today? Tuesday? I mean, again, a lot of it's going to, the market's going to have to go, but I think we could touch 235 in the next couple of days. So by week's end, I would say we're probably back up here. It's been good. It's held the 50-period moving average for the last week or so, coming back into 223. I mean, that's going to be at around 222, 221. So I think you still want to buy these dips. But again, it's just one of those names where we've seen Nvidia sort of base out and then drop. And it's just, this could be happening now. So we bought Apple. Apple in its career has had many up and down moves, like giving back 30%, 20%, like right into here, this 195 goes all the way down to 180, back up to 195, down again to 170. You know, like these moves have happened. 235 down to 195. Sure, that's a dramatic day, but even on that pullback in, that's still 200. It can lose $30. So even here, right? Like there's another one, 195 down to 175. We can go on and on and on. What did I just do with this? But at the end of the day, what you really want to do is hit your like and subscribe button, because that way, more likely things will happen that you give the good karma, you get it back. So hit the like and subscribe. But for me, for Apple, all honesty, I think 227.50 in and around here, $1 lower. I think it's worth a try. I just don't know about this market. I mean, look, like I said, like look at this. Down, then right back up. Like nothing's happening. It's just the market floating around. We'll wait for these imbalances. And can you believe it? We're about to take out sort of the pre-market highs. Like we could take this out, and that's where VWAP is. So then we can change our mind. And then we can just start to go long because we're above VWAP. Best thing to do, I think, is to settle down, let this market figure itself out.
And go long GameStop?
And go long GameStop and AMC and Carvana, for sure. And Longeveron. And
Longeveron, huh?
Sega. Is monkeypox or mpox back yet? I don't know.
I think it's still on hiatus.
Is it still on hiatus?
We'll double check.
Good. I don't know if it's a national threat yet.
Longeveron. Let's go.
Yeah, Longeveron, yeah. LGVN.
It's interesting. I guess I always forget there's other names that have been running. I guess LGVN has been making some power moves. Let's talk about one.
Let's go long Palantir if you want.
But Palantir's not a squeeze name. Palantir was a...
You watch.
No, but I know it was grouped into that back in 2020, but it hasn't really been that kind of a stock. It's been
Palantir apes are coming, my friend.
You can't
if they're not already.
You can't talk about a stock being in the S&P or getting out of the S&P and then still have it with those other guys.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
I don't know.
Those guys are different. Let's talk some Unity.
Just real quick, SMCI popped up. Looks like the CEO responding to that Hindenburg report from back on Friday saying there was false information in it. Basically said they are forecasting no material change in their current quarter forecast. So SMCI did pop up to 446, but coming right back down again. So we'll see what happens with SMCI. Yeah, Unity with an upgrade today. Decent move for Unity, standing out very, very strong here. Took out the highs just a couple of minutes ago, all the way to 1780 now.
Yeah, up 8 2/3 here, Brendo, with Morgan Stanley giving them the upgrade, the overweight rating, and a $22 price target. Here's what they're saying. Their game engine business is in a competitive position. Analyst Matthew Cost over there liking their Unity game engine and basically saying that they have 70% market share in the mobile game business, and they stand to defend that, potentially even grow it. We'll have to wait and see. Analysts mixed on this one, though, but it doesn't matter on the day, up into 8 2/3.
Just officially on that SMCI, the quote from them was, a recent report from a short seller hedge fund contained, quote unquote, false or inaccurate statements. They see no material change in current quarter forecast.
Man, Rob, thank you.
Sir limps a lot.
So what? Oh,
You didn't hear that?
I actually didn't. I was trying
Rob gave Neil a coffee and called him Sir Limps a lot. Thank you.
Well, the joke's on you because I don't limp when I have my crutch. Haha. I mean, I limp without it, but you should see. I'm not even making. I'm really smooth on one crutch right now.
Yeah,
And maybe I'll show it off the next time I get a chance. But Unity, try to keep it. Well, it's a 926 already. So Unity, try to keep it pretty clear here. It could break out 18, and that's not necessarily the first look I was going for. So there's a triple. It's not really a triple top, but you can kind of see it on the daily. That's about $18. This is about $18.40 up in here. So you have some overhead resistance on Unity for it to go. I was just looking at $17.35 for pop and drop for obvious reasons. There it is, there it is, there it is, there it is. Anything out in front of that was looking long. Now that you've broken the top, just have to try to be a joiner. And VWAP sits right around that same price area. I'm looking to go dip and rip here in front of that 17.35, hopefully long before it gets to 18. I didn't want to be taking an 18 break off the open because it's a little bit extended on just an upgrade. All it is an upgrade, an 11% short float. But rather not be punching long and breaking 18. And at that point, it'll be up 10% already. I'd rather buy the dip here in Unity.
Yeah, there's some nice trades happening. This reminds me of that Affirm. We had some nice moves on Affirm over the last couple of days for sure. They came out with their report and it's been super hot fire since then. I mean, breaking through $32. That high, we said that maybe we'd get to 40. Well, we easily got to 40. And now it's like you're running into potential areas here of some support. So I really, really think that this is some sort of a level here, 44 to 46. So in and around this area, I think is going to be a good spot for Affirm. But at the end of the day, these wicks, I mean, the thing is, it's so hard to stay short because this can happen to you. You come in overnight and the thing's up another 10% on some kind of an upgrade, and the squeeze continues on a stock like Affirm. So 48, maybe some sort of a top. You're only at 44 right now, but I think it's worth trying something here and then just having stops. So $46 looks like a decent area to give this name about $2 worth of room. So, all right, with only 2 minutes left, let's go find out what Sharif's up to.
We're talking about trends, Sean, all week long. We'll start with the basics today, understanding trends. Talk about the major, intermediate, and short-term trends. If you're into that kind of thing, check it out with Adair and I on How to Trade at 11.
There we go. Thank you very much there. The trend, we always say the trend is your friend. It doesn't get any better than that. So stick around. You're here all day long. As Sean mentioned, that NU was a sell imbalance after it was a buy. Sometimes you'll see that. They buy it on Friday. They sell it on Tuesday, I guess it would be today. Nothing else on this imbalance locator early with the exception of Marvell's a small sell, 300,000 shares to the downside here. Not much movement on it last I checked, but Nvidia just lost the bottom while this was all going on. So Nvidia is already, all right, it's already at 116. That 117 key level from last week, that was your support more or less the day after earnings, and then higher low support on Friday. So you're losing a little bit of that. Probably means AMD is not going to get to 149. We're looking to short some pops and some chip names. We'll have to let this one settle. Nvidia down 3 points already and starting to look lower. Tesla had been relatively strong all morning compared to all these other Mag 7 names. It's hanging on to this 215 level. despite the fact that it just pulled back in. So pull back in, still hanging on to 15, previous close at 214. This is the one that if it can stay green, it was weak. Sorry, it was strong relatively into all of this weakness, and I still like a pop and fade on Mara as long as we're underneath that $60,000 level. So about to start a new week here. It's a holiday shortened week, but there should be plenty of action to start it off as we go on over. Drop the old countdown on. Adara is going to be ringing the old bell. There, Patty Ice in there as well. It's all good, Patrick, in 3, 2, and 1 ring. And
Patrick is such a camera hog, you know.
You know what? Like sometimes that's not an accident, man. Patrick knows what's up. He knows what's going on at 9:30. But thank you very much. Another mallet broken here at Trader TV Live.
Another mallet broken. Okay. All right. So was the green screen working there? I thought it wasn't working.
I thought it wasn't working, but it looked like it worked to me.
Oh, okay. Oh, Ramin's back, so everything's fixed. Duh.
Did you just say Ramin just said to us it's working because Ramin's back. She worked her magic.
And I don't. I believe that to be accurate.
But Ramin referred to herself as Ramin.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's how we talk. You know, so Sean's about to trade here right now. Okay, so Ramin, I'm trying to do a show here.
We're already off the rails. It's 9:30 and 47
with Brendan
seconds.
Coming back, we'd be back on the rails. It seems like we've actually derailed even more. It seems like. All right. Well, with 1 minute in, we have yet to talk about a stock. So, all right. AMD is coming back in. Real nice. I think if this short's going to be on today, like Donkey Kong, we called this short, man. We forgot to turn it over, but we had mentioned we are negative on everything today, and that seems to be the case to the downside as Intel's starting right now as well. We might have to look for VWAP fades because the market's not giving us any of these top levels that we thought we could look at. But it's a nice move down. Actually, Intel's not even moving down that much right now, as much as I thought it would. This is Nvidia's story right now. Nvidia is cranking down 4+% right now. Goes NVDA. So yeah, man, the bottom possibly falling out on some of these chip names. So actually, Intel looking relatively strong compared to the rest of them. And then Tesla, of course, huge upside move right now. We said there's one long written on the sticky note, and it's Tesla. And oh boy, Tesla really starting to go.
Yeah, Tesla is already gonzo. I mean, I'm looking over. You just can't get anything I wanted short in. It's not available. You have to be able to adjust. If you're going pop and fade, you have to wait. So Mara's going to have to wait. Tesla is just it's just different. Right now, like that is a ridiculous move up. I'm lent right over into Rivian. When I see that, I'm like, okay, well, if Tesla's going up, I like to short in Rivian. Can I get short there? No, that's dropping as well. So I don't necessarily want to chase anything to the downside. I'm going to double check on Micron here. I mean, Micron initial move to the downside as well. So, I mean, the initial move, it's very clear what's happening here. I see one stock up. I'm sure there's something else out there. You guys let us know. And then I see a bunch of things down. I'm looking at SMCI, though.
120.
SMCI is oddly enough headed to the upside and looking relatively strong despite that plunge in Nvidia. Okay, what's going on there with SMCI?
So I have, so Tesla's turning around. We'll have started position. I think it's probably the first one right now. We're into PLTR. So let's just see if Palantir, again, just noticing relative strength in this name. I went over to it because we were talking about Palantir earlier, and I went over and it was strong into this move down in the futures. So we'll average this until this bottom, 31.20. If that breaks, we're gone. So we got to give this some room. Starting a position now in Palantir against that bottom of 31.20. I do think this market is headed lower right now, and I was going to look at, and I wrote down on the sticky note, the futures, TQs, looking at 66. So this could be a level that comes into play again right now into the bottom. So watch out for a 66 level. I'm not sure I want to get long anything until we start to see some bigger push downside right now on the NASDAQ. We're already long Palantir, looking to see for some support down here in the NASDAQ. And right now you're kind of just hovering around. I mean, it's a nice move down for sure so far today. I mean, congratulations, Dan Emmons and some of the traders out there that have been looking net short. I mean, crypto's starting to get lower, 58.9, and things are starting to go down.
Unity's flying.
It's a starter position right now. And Micron, I mean, we didn't miss anything, but Micron is a downside move that continues to go. So that's down 3.5 now. Maybe it's about finding the bottom for Nvidia, but
that's a tricky proposition. Always find those bottoms. So the other thing going, of course, Unity broke out that $18. I'll have to look for a pullback, VWAP or pre-market highs for a dip to be able to get long in here. Let's go over to the desk, Adara.
The market is.
With regards to SMCI, in case anyone was missing or was wondering about this move to the upside with volume right off the open, we do have CEO Charles Liang issuing this letter to customers and partners addressing both the short seller report from Hindenburg last week and the company's decision to delay its annual reporting, basically saying that these decisions will not delay its or affect its product delivery or its solution capabilities. And it also highlighted, quote, strong financial performance, saying also here that they will meet these challenges despite, quote, internal reviews and misleading external claims. So quick summary here of the CEO's letter for SMCI as it pushes up into this 446 level, guys.
Hey, what's Apple doing?
So we did get out there on Palantir, so we'll have to slap a fail on it. It does hit that bottom, but I mean, it just went to sort of 31.15 there. So I bought it back up on momentum, trying to get back long off of that little brush up there to the downside. So we'll see if we can get it. I'm going to bid a little bit lower and watch out for that 31.10 area bottom that held right there. So we might have got flushed out there, or we might just be making a mistake by getting back in. So let's not keep adding to this, but we will add it one more time. 31.10 or so break to the downside on Palantir, and we'll be flashing out of that one. One last try on this name. Feel like it wants to get strong, but the market definitely disagreeing.
No, the market is, I mean, we're now 1.16 to the downside. Okay, Unity bounced off of 17.9 in here, so it's trying to go. It's up 9.5%, and one of the few things that's strong that isn't Tesla. So I'm into Unity off 18. We're going to give it back into VWAP on this, but wow, Tesla's just continuing to fly. I'm trying to be really patient with these chip names, but I just went to say, let's go short if AMD pops into VWAP or 145, and it just promptly dropped $1 right in front of me. So I don't want to chase. I really don't want to chase, not the way that we're heading into the downside here. At 936, I find shorting a bottom here seems perilous. I just go back to any other Monday. I know it's not Monday, but like beginnings of the week. I do not want to be short at any of these bonds. So Unity long, that looks like it's still breaking out a little bit here. If we get something over on Mara, cancel that. Maybe back into VWAP, we can try shorts back into VWAP is going to be the plan. We drop like this, I got to be patient. I'm not shorting any bottoms. Let's go to Adara.
Beware here of this SIFY. This one is a small cap penny stock here under $1. Announcing on Monday that they actually become the first company in India to be an Nvidia co-location partner with regards to this liquid cooling, just under 10 million share float for SIFY, guys.
All right,
that's good business.
Yeah, those are what was that business?
It's a liquid cooling for the data centers,
yes,
right?
Right, yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, I don't know anything about that company. It's really cool stuff because data centers are ridiculously, they run hot.
I mean, even our little server room here. All right, so just real quick here, we are long the futures. We did get that. So Palantir came out, we dipped that out there. But here we go, man. Now we're starting to rock again. Like, damn, man, you viewers know me better than I know my damn self, it seems like, because there it goes right back into it, man, on the futures again. Nice upside move. I mean, we just bought that bottom, and here we go. We are now in the money, about 20 or so handles, but it has come back. We did take another piece out, man. We're taking this out as it goes up. You know, this was always our plan. We just got a 58 out right there. We said we'd see if 66 can hold. So we took a 32 area. You know, our out's not 66. This was just an area to sort of look at. It's not, when you're trading the futures, you're not going to give it an exact area, especially in the first 5 and 10 minutes. So we're going to watch out. Here it comes right back up to the highs. We'll take some more out here at 56 for a nice little win here on the TQQs. I mean, that's at least we made some money back there. But Palantir, definitely once, twice, probably not thrice, man, as you continue to go lower here on PLTR. So let's just continue to watch these futures, and then we'll get it figured out from there. But for now,
Tesla's already at 220. It's just this.
Tesla's a monster. I mean, that was the only long idea we had. You know what we said? 214. It does not get there. So that was a missed opportunity. But yeah, Tesla.
Yeah, you can't buy dips that don't happen.
Strong.
The same way you can't short pops that don't happen, you cannot buy dips that are non-existent. So just for Tesla, very quickly, it's at resistance now. 221 right in here. If I can't get the long into it, then when it gets up there, I didn't think we'd get there this quick, but resistance into 221.5. Any failed break of 220, I'd be thinking curl at this particular point. There have not been any pops and anything else to try to short, at least that I'm looking at. I'm going to go back over to Micron as we go back to Adara. No, Micron's down 4 and at the lows.
Okay.
Let's look here for Sable Offshore Corp. This actually is a little bit of a larger market cap here, just over $1 billion here in market cap. You have Sable Offshore Corp getting a price target increase from $20 to $26 here from TD Cowen, guys. SOC.
Yeah, we were just talking about Intel there, and it seems like we might have been right about Intel just in the matter of that it was relatively strong. I mean, it was the only one that was holding up, right? Nvidia was tanking, AMD. We just talked about Micron, and then I was looking at it and said, oh, maybe we should short off a VWAP, right? And obviously that would have been good, but there goes Intel back down to the downside. So it continues to get cracked. We were looking at AMD, of course. It's just everything. If you're not already in the game, then you are not in the game, like some Triple H. But right there, 113 now looks like it wants to break. We said we'd let Nvidia settle, right? But these futures are definitely not settling. So they're coming back into 19.4 right now. Longer term time frame looks like you have 19.3 coming from the 28th. So right into there, 19.3 was an area. We did splash into 19.21, but this is where we think we can go. Right now it's 113 on Nvidia. Wow. Good sell over there on Friday, but it's not good, man. And a lot of us are stuck long, obviously, this name as it continues to bleed. And the future's giving it up a little bit. Probably not time to average in, man. Let's see what happens. 66 coming in here.
Yeah, I mean, everything is dropping like an absolute rock. I'm just going to go over and quickly. Okay, Apple's got a bit of a defined range. That might be something. Oh, Apple. But we just dipped back into previous highs on Unity. It's still up 8.5 points, but we're just cascading. The market's cascading down. Even a strong name can get cracked. If we lose 17.7, I got to jump out of this. I know it's only 20 cents on a name, which can go dollars, but at the same time, the way the market's falling, we got to respect it. There is another name on the short side that I probably should have said, but it doesn't matter now because ARM just broke lower. If we do get any chance to short a pop in one of the chip names, I've got my eyeballs and I'm being patient. It's ARM, Micron, and AMD, the ones that I want. AMD, it just has to do something off of this bottom at 142. As I said, I'm not chasing anything in the first 10 minutes when we're dumping like this. It was just too much too fast at the end of the day. There is some strength out there in Meta. And remember I said a couple of seconds ago, Tesla's getting into the target zone?
Yep.
Like, you got to be kidding me.
It's targeted.
Look at the move on Tesla just now. There was no, hey, this stock is relatively strong. Let's be patient shorting it. No, it goes to 220 and it just drops $5. There's just no bid right now. It's absolutely insane. So, yeah, that's kind of nasty on Tesla. So I'm going to slap a big fail. Like, I was like, let's be patient. Tesla's strong. Let's not short into the one thing that's going up. And that just happened on Tesla. Unbelievable. Unbelievable moves to start this day. As I said, the only thing I'm in right now is Unity, which is holding on to the breakout price. Everything else is vastly away from where I wanted to short it. This is Boeing. Boeing, I was looking pop and fade. There was a wick up $2.50, and that's a legitimate $2.50 wick, and then a complete rejection of that move up, and now it's tanking like everything else. So nasty, nasty warning so far. Let's try to, I don't want to be sitting here trying to overtrade because there's just not a heck of a lot that was part of my plan at some of these prices. Anyone looking at GameStop, this actually looks pretty solid, man. We're long this a couple times last couple of days, and this is trending up and holding VWAP. At least there's something there while I wait for the market to calm down a bit.
Yeah, so Tesla's at that 214 level now, and just to take the other side, sort of, Neil's talking about it being unbelievable. I think the move there, for sure, down $5 or $6 is nasty. We've seen, I mean, with this market making this move down, we sort of started talking that we thought this market was going to be a little weaker today than we had seen in the past, right? And so that seems to be pretty much exactly the case right now. Without the semis on board, it's tough for these stocks to get going. We already took a hit on Tesla, so we're back in this name now, though, looking to see if we can get some out. We're long at 214.80. It just went up to 215.50. I was going to get longer there if that was going to be coming in the case, but breaking through 215.50, that was kind of right there, the 200 period. But now I'm actually going to use some of these wicks, hopefully, to get out of some of these longs. We only got out at 75% here when it broke 215. We wanted to give ourselves a little bit of a chance to regroup a little bit here on Tesla. So hopefully we can rip back up. We're by far not out of the woods. I mean, we'd like to get this out at 215.50 and make some of this money back. But I think if I'm going to sit in the long right now, it would be Tesla. to see if we can get that bounce. We talked about 19.3. It gets down to 19.360 right there. We've averaged into the TQs because it did come into our level of $66. So it looks like a good little out right there right now. Oh, no, and I forgot all about
Meta,
it.
Microsoft.
Yeah, we have numbers right now coming out. So let's take some more out. It's a big winner here on the TQQs. So it's a monster. The future's a monster one more time here. So there it goes. Nice trade there on the NASDAQ as we fall right into our posted level of $66. Wow, what a save that was, Adara.
We're waiting here for the S&P manufacturing PMI final here for the month of August. Previous print of 49.6, consensus and forecast here of 48, so just a few seconds until we get this final print for August. 47.9 here is what I'm seeing, so a little bit lower than the previous number and the consensus number here. We do have the S&P 500 still down about 0.7%, and we'll actually get some more PMI data from ISM at 10 a.m., guys.
Of course, it comes lower. Like, I just need it to go up. Like, if that's a longer number, then we are laughing. But we did get some out just before that number. So here comes the NASDAQ pulling back in just a little bit on that number. It's too bad because it sort of turned Tesla around as well. We're still fine. We got some out on the top there. But, yeah, the futures don't really like that number right now. What was it? 47.9 versus 48, prior 49.6 on manufacturing PMI. Not great. You want to see a higher manufacturing number there.
Yeah, you'd like to see that. We've gotten some good economic data for the overall economy. We're back in a good news is good mode with the market, but it is what it is. So Unity got back to 18. I took some out there. I'm on the offer for the first time of AMD, just trying to look for VWAP. There was that bounce. So on the number, I was kind of thinking, hey, we bounce on the number, then maybe short that pop if you get it. AMD went a whole whopping 30 or 40 cents and is right back into, I guess, underneath 143. You're down 4 points. It is looking a little bit perilous here on this particular name, but there is some strength out there. I want to assure everybody, Meta just went green on the day.
Ooh.
Microsoft just broke 419 and is green on the day.
Okay.
Some things are not like others right now. So I'm sitting there like, okay, well, Unity has an upgrade from whomever upgrade. I think it was Morgan Stanley. So it's going up. It's back above the 18 level and getting another out at 1820. But we got some strength in some tech names that are worth pivoting over to. If I'm thinking, I was thinking short chips and I'm not chasing moves, well, I got to think about now the strength is in Meta and Microsoft, regardless of what I thought about this market. So I'm into Mara on a short pop. I'll get to that. But I want to see if we get VWAP or dip buys in a previous close on Meta or Microsoft. Those two look distinctly different from the others. The first thing that was part of the plan to actually get and test VWAP is going to be Mara. VWAP 1620 here. I'm short at 1615. So the first of the short the pops. After move down like that, you do have to be careful shorting the initial pop because those are some capitulation type candles on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah, it's funny. I said that. I was talking with actually Patrick, and I was like, I wonder how many times I'm going to say Monday today.
That's two for me already.
Yeah, I don't think I've done it yet. Okay, great reloads down there, man. Bang, 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 bang on Tesla as it falls right into our level. So we are getting a little bit out now. Let me take another piece out here in the 20s if we can, and then wait to see if Tesla wants to get back going. But we're long down here. We wrote down 214. It would be a shame if we weren't long 214. But we'll take some out, man. At the top, clean it out. You don't have to stay long all day. What's up, Adara? Wasn't it Adara? Yep.
Conifer CNFR as it makes a new or tries to make a new high of day here, up about 68%. Did announce here the sale of its insurance agency operations and the promotion of Brian Roney as its new CEO. Worth noting, they actually did here forecast a significant revenue decline, but CNFR up near high of days. This one is a small cap, guys.
All right, small cap, eh? Right.
Yes, sir. There's a small cap for you, making some moves. The market's trying to come back in here with that halt. We'll get to it if it looks good after they open, when it reopens in a couple of minutes. So Mara gets into 1620, got 15 short, just got some out in front of 16. This is a big move initially off the open. So even if we get lower, I want to respect the fact that Bitcoin's not doing as much. There you got a hammer candle. Well, you got a downward move at the open, but not nearly as nasty as some of the other things I'm looking at. So we break out VWAP. I don't want to fight this on the way back into the upside. Back over to Unity. It wicked 18 initially, pulls back, holds on to the previous closes on the day that it broke the 18. Now trying to get back to $18, you're finding resistance. So I dip bought already once. If we don't get back above 18, I think it's parallel. It's a little bit cautious for me back on the bid. I'm there right now in front of 1780 to try to grab the long again, but I'm not loving the fact that you've rejected this 18 the second time through. So big moves in Microsoft and Meta and apparently also Amazon here.
Yeah, I see Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon as well. But I'm just trying to be patient with these chips. I feel like it could be a bit of a trap to short the. If you wanted to short off the open, it's frustrating because you can get the FOMO right now, and that'll just get you into a world of hurt. So I don't want to be jumping into anything. If this is the bottom we just made to start the week, you don't want to get trapped short at that low.
Well, we're 50 handles now in the money on the futures. So that, I mean, this trade here has been it for me. I mean, we'll sit here and wait. Palantir, wow. I mean, you want to talk about a name. Like, how to have gotten this bottom, Ramin. Okay, good, you got it. Good job, Ramin. Didn't do anything. That was me. Huh? Right down there, $30.90. I mean, this is a V-shaped recovery. Like, look at this on Palantir. So we'll lose here. Not that much, but we lost early on it. But look at that recovery. How could have we done better on Palantir? I mean, I guess if we'd somehow, I mean, come on, like that wick down there. Yeah, I guess if we had picked the exact bottom of $30.80, we could have been onto something. But for right now, Palantir, wow, what a move down. And how nasty does that wick look like there on a 20-minute chart? So we know there's strength now in Palantir. We were right. You just have to wait for it. So in another dip down, I think we can try maybe in and around here again if that does work. Unfortunately, though, our Tesla trade, we have not averaged back into it, but it is down here at this level one more time. It's not super healthy right there. We'll buy some. And then now, okay, now it's starting to get back up. We just bought a little bit there. We'll see if we can get something out around 30s again. There it is. Nice little dip buy opportunity there. As we're not certain about Tesla now, as we've seen Amazon, we've seen other strong names come through. So let's just sort of lick our wounds a little bit here. We just bought some, I mean, we bought some 88s there, I guess. We just didn't right in front of you. And then we got out 35s there. So that was a nice recovery play. But the market right now, still in the world of hurt, man, could not even get back up to the 50-period moving average. Come on, Tesla. All right, Adara.
This part of the show is brought to you by Benzinga Pro. Tired of being late to the trade? Always playing catch up in the market? Missing out on the big moves because you're too slow to the news? Benzinga Pro is your unfair advantage. Get breaking news alerts up to 30 minutes before everyone else. Pinpoint exactly why stocks are moving and join a thriving community of traders who share their strategies in real time. Ready to see how Benzinga Pro can transform your trading? Visit benzinga.com/pro and get a free 14-day trial.
All right, yeah, visit Benzinga.
Thank you very much there, Dara. And losing support just, I mean, the market's still teetering at that bottom, but losing that support. Fortunately, we're lucky that Unity got back to the $18 level, I think. Because as the market was continuing to flush, it made one bounce off the previous breakout price, was able to get 18s and then 18.07, and now you've just lost that 17.7 support. So I needed to get back above VWAP. You can want the long in the stock, and it can look strong, but once support is gone, wait for it to form another level. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just in Mara right now as it's double bottoming at 16. Nvidia is starting to look, it's starting to look a little bit stronger. Like that is, I mean, it's easy to say that's a capitulation candle, this green one, when you have moved down like that, but that's what it's kind of looking like. But you have another wick underneath here, under VWAP, which is still bearish underneath 114. So I think this has to settle down. It seems like 114 would be the wall. If Nvidia gets back above that, like you could really fly up and you have one of those recovery days. So my eyeballs are going to be on this, I think, instead of AMD, the way that things are coming back up. Because if Nvidia can take 114, that's one heck of a move into the upside. And then we talked about the strength in Meta, Microsoft, and all that stuff. Here comes Meta back into VWAP. So Meta at VWAP, I didn't have a plan of action to trade Meta today, and then Meta decided it was one of the strong stocks in the market. It's that simple. So if it can hold on to VWAP, great. We'll look for a bounce. If it can't, I'm not going to stand on a falling knife in here. Mara, again, we're just giving that one into VWAP, looking for a reload in front of 1620s. But incoming Meta, it's closer to VWAP than Nvidia is to that 114, where I think we have to put something on. Whether you're long or short, that's the price on Nvidia, that 114 level, and it's looking like it's rejecting it already. So we're not going to get to 114 Nvidia.
So we actually did a little bit better there on Tesla. I just wanted to get to it because it broke that 213, 214.50. We said that what we would do here, and we're just trying to follow our rules, right? I mean, even when they're wrong. If 214 lost it, we wanted to get out. So we gave it to 213.50 there. But look what we were doing, though. In and out, in and out. So we didn't wind up having that much left, but still a negative trade as it breaks down. I mean, basically Tesla was this one here, trying to defend early, and there's the break lower. All right, man. I mean, it looks like the NASDAQ does want to break eventually. There it is. There's our last try. We've got a bunch out here, but it is coming back in. So now let's just do a little bit of work to see if this is worth holding at all. We said that this level down here could get tested 19.3 on the NASDAQ, and yeah. We're at 19,340 right now. This would be $65 if we ever lost that. Yeah, then that's a problem. So back into 65 right now for the futures. Looks like something we might have to talk about. 64. I think it might be worth a little bit of a long right now. But, I mean, what's leading this market lower? It's not going to be Apple. We looked at that one, down 1.5. Actually, this is starting to get going. But, yeah, you know, until there's some strength found over here. I mean, down 6% now on Nvidia as it just continues to make lows, it looks like. I'm going to buy a little bit here on the TQ, so we'll just push in a bid there. Sorry, that's Tesla, sorry. On the TQs, buy a little bit down here because of that level right there. But I don't think it's worth like layering into anything. We don't have any good news. We got that worse PMI number there. Futures only down 1.4. There's all the, you know, the sort of the historical data about how bad September is. I wonder if people are trying to get in front of that. But anyways, as we go right now, the NASDAQ's falling down, and it was led by Tesla. I mean, Tesla, we were talking about what a huge day Tesla was having.
It was the strongest stock.
I can't even feel my hands right now. Like, I don't know how cold it is.
It's literally freezing.
That 220 was definitely a level right there for TSLA. Nice little bounce back here. Hopefully the futures can go, and we'll make a little bit of cheese on that last little piece there. But we'll see if we can get some out for flat here at 66.10. Nice dip buy opportunity there. But we're just trying to, like, if we can hold this, great, and I think we can. I mean, I think if we can get back into 66.50 area, that would be worth something. Maybe a test of VWAP would be nice if the market can get there. But we'll take a little piece out, and it's a good thing we did as the futures really teetering on that 19.3 here.
Yeah, teetering is definitely the word. So, I mean, VWAP's a line on a chart. Support ends up where it ends up. I think that's sort of the name of the game. And as I was looking for like a higher low dip buy on Meta, settled in at 21s. There's your high lows like 19, then 20, and then we just bounced off 520.5 on Meta. So when I saw that happen, I'm like, okay, if we can get back above, you know, now you can't even hold on to support. I'm like, can a strong name hold a higher low and just zoom back up? Like, that's what I expect with these kind of bottoms. But no, the second we get back through 21, it immediately runs stops underneath. So the one stop, we try to go long, pivoting to a relatively strong name, and suddenly Meta can't even hold a bid. AMD is just redonkulous. Like, where is your pop? There's not much of anything to sink your teeth into. I'm looking at UVXY, which is just cresting off of the highs. It's like if it does any kind of a pullback, I think you can have some bounces in here, but it's just not giving you a heck of a lot to sink your teeth into. Mara just doesn't seem to want to give me VWAP in here. I don't need that many orders. I tried to get it the last time through. Kind of chased it down a little bit and didn't get the fills. It's holding on to $16. I'm trying to reload in the teens back into that 16 area as it's starting to come back up. I still like Nvidia for this 114 level. That's looking a little bit better as a level than AMD is currently. AMD is sort of not giving you anything. Clearly 114 Nvidia is your spot. You can see the selling starting to come into that one though, right back into these lows. And crazy moves to the downside. There's nothing else you can say. And I don't want, like I said, I don't want to chase. Essentially, we got fortunate on Unity. They were able to get some out before that pulled back in. Mars worked as a short, but everything else is in this bit of a bottoming pattern here that I don't want to get trapped at the bottom of. I'd rather break something out like an Nvidia if it can get there. Maybe Microsoft is still strong. See, Microsoft is still kind of strong.
Okay, good.
This could be something.
Need some strength here. All right, so we've just been buying dips on the futures. I mean, we're just trading the futures right now. Yeah, these equities appear to be broken. We just talked about that. As many names like just whipping around, like that Tesla one, I think is a perfect example. you know, like how do you rip to 220 there and then drop basically $8 straight down, and then $7 before now finding a base and going back upside. So let's just trust that maybe the market's trying to bottom out here, and we'll pick the right name, and we pick the futures, so we'll do that. I don't know, man. You guys are right. Palantir's just dipped in. I was waiting at like 31s, basically 31.05-ish, but maybe that 31.10 is something now as Palantir's trying to get back up to the upside. So this could be a strong name as well, right? Only down 0.7, market down 1.32. JP Morgan on that downgrade today. Yeah, sure, man, got hit. We said that this could be a name that you're buying dips. That goes right into the pre-market. I mean, there was no trading in the pre-market, but I guess the early wick low there of 22.30. So that could be something to look at if that does wind up coming back. I mean, Micron is getting, this is a name that we had written down here as 95, 96 shorts. Sure, it was looking easy to write that down when it's 94.50, but now you're down to 91.50 for Micron. I mean, come on. This name continues to get beat up. And I know when it was up here, I was like, I don't even know what DRAM does. But now, I mean, this is all the way down to the downside. And it's, look, it has a part. I just, you know, whenever we're looking at chip names, you look the other way. But right now, wow, this market's really coming down. 10 o'clock with numbers and Adara.
Did get here a slightly weaker than expected ISM manufacturing PMI for August, 47.2. So that is above the previous print here of 46.8, but below the consensus and forecast of 47.5. Stronger than expected ISM manufacturing employment for August, 46, compared to a forecast here of 43.6. In terms of construction spending on a month-over-month basis, slightly weaker than expected, negative 0.3 versus the forecast here of negative 0.2. New ISM new orders below expectations, 44.6 versus forecast here of 47.7. And ISM manufacturing prices above estimates here, 54 versus 52.5 consensus. Again, just to recap the main numbers here, ISM manufacturing PMI slightly weaker than expected. Construction spending month over month as well, and a significantly stronger than expected ISM manufacturing employment print. Big move back down here for the S&P 500, down now almost 1%. The NASDAQ a little weaker here than the S&P 500, down more than 1%, as we do have Nvidia leading that group to the downside. Some other names to keep an eye on here include SMCI, Supermicro Computer. This one had a pretty tumultuous week last week. Now we have the CEO issuing a letter addressing both the Hindenburg short report and its decision to delay its annual reporting. We also have here Boeing down more than 7%, actually at its lowest level since late April, after getting a pretty significant downgrade here from Wells Fargo to underweight with a price target decrease from 185 to 119. And also, as there's a potential strike going on here with its machinists, so lots to be aware of today, guys.
Thank you, Adara. I feel like you say to your Boeing, and it's just like, Boeing, yes, proud Boeing shareholder. Over here. No, I'm not. So like there was, the best I could describe it is I turned to Sean when that number just dropped, and like the second the number came out, it's like they don't even care what it is. They're just dropping the bid into any economic number, and that's what happened. So Microsoft was it was breaking back out. So Microsoft bounced off VWAP. I got long. It was breaking back out this level. Number drops, it goes right back into VWAP, and now it's bouncing again. So I saw it bounce a second time post number, added again at the 80s, was able to get a 50-cent scalp trade in there because we're risking to the 40 level, so that's just better than a 1-to-1. And now if this name can hold on to VWAP, it's already been relatively strong. Let's see if it has a chance to go. I'm offering in front of 419. There just hasn't been anything that's set up because we wanted those shorts early, and I mean, what are you going to do? Like I said, I wasn't going to chase any bottom. Something had to set up for me. Mara's given some VWAP back into 16. But look at this. If we just keep lit grabbing underneath $16 on Mara and then holding the line at 16, eventually this sucker just breaks it out. That's how things work. So it's working for now. Microsoft's trying to get to that upside. And shout out to everyone in the chat yelling about the relative strength in Softy and some other names as these are starting to get back in. The market is starting to calm down a little bit here, down that 1.25, but things have leveled off. Although the UVXY just got back to the high.
All right. Finally, our sort of our thesis here worked out, man. We said that I felt like the stocks were a little bit beside themselves here, and we wanted to go into futures. So, I mean, the fact of we just started covering right now, but the fact that this started to go back up to the upside right there, Those are some great outs. We just bought 66, 65, 80s. It doesn't mean that this move, like this is what we're trying to do. Scalp them out and then hold. We still have half of this position for a bigger move. But there it is, Ozan. You did hear that come through right there for the bullish move in the TQs. But that's not very bullish. That is for sure. So get some out, man. Get some out as it comes back in. I'm not averaging it in again. Like, this is how we talk about it in the wild, like learning lessons. And it's just like, we've already, we've averaged it and got it out. We've averaged it and got it out. Like, I'm not going to just now sit back here at this level, buy again, only for this thing to drop. We got to buy better prices. We got to wait for the futures to eventually slow down. And I don't know if that slowdown is coming. So we got to keep taking it out and getting lighter and lighter on this position for our futures trade. So I'm fine being wrong, but I'm not going to be wrong on like 7 names. Like let's just pick the names that we think we see something on, and if it breaks, it breaks, and that's the trade. That's trading. So we're going to sit here. That 65.50 is the bottom. I think that's a good area to think about taking some more long. I really want to give this down to 64.50. Like this little break there. That's what I mean. Like, I don't want to just like layer in right now, because if we're wrong, man, we're going to be wrong huge. So let's wait to see 65.50, a buy area there for our triple Q trade. So we're going to do that rate. Whoopsies, that was not enough shares, but we just put some bids down there. So let's wait to see if that goes. In a stock that has no idea what it's doing is Tesla. I mean, it was just at 213. It ripped up $2 straight in 2 minutes and then just fell off of that 215 level again. So we're right here right now. I mean, I like this stock. We've already seen it go. So I'm feeling like, and I know you had a good Microsoft trade there, I think that if this can go higher, then giddy up on Tesla. Like, this is the name that's been up here before. It can work. So I don't want to buy dips.
Not anymore.
It might be a breakout. Microsoft's not working anymore?
I just reloaded and it lost a bid.
Oh, did it?
Man, okay, even Microsoft can't even hold this bid now. So suddenly, it was the only name that, I shouldn't say the only name. It was the name that I was looking at. It was this and Meta that were holding on to strength. We got the reload. It was back up into 418.5. We're like, okay, this one looks good. It goes right back into the close price and then holds the line and view up. I'm like, well, if it's going to do that, liquidity grab underneath, that's a great looking setup. If it lit grabs underneath, let's go long again and double up. Instead of waiting for it to go one level, let's just take it twice the first time through. Now you're losing the bid on Microsoft. So, all roads are seemingly leading back into this downside. All I have on is Mara. I wish I could tell you that the shorts that we liked this morning had come in. That's not true. They did, just not at any of the prices we liked. So Mara is the only thing I'm in right now. It just held on to VWAP. We're able to get it there. I do still want to find my way into a chip name short. I'm looking at AMD at VWAP. I think Intel 21 looks a little bit interesting. Tesla's actually looking strong now. I think AMD, part of the plan, it's going to make sense right in here, 143.30. It's not the level that we wanted. I was intending on shorting off a resistance, but this is a pretty decent trend to the downside. At some point, got to be willing to try to join it. You can miss the move all day long if that happens, but let's see. We can get 143s in here. We got to try. ARM is not available for me. Look at this sucker. It's like we broke VWAP and looked like it was going to be a strong one. Now we just got to wait. This one certainly ripped some faces off to the upside and is the only chip name that broke VWAP that I can see. So I no longer want to short that. If there's one chip name over VWAP, that's not the one I want to short.
Look, I look down and, Neil and I aren't going to be the only ones red here today. Actually, the whole floor is red. And I feel like it's really tough to join the trend. And I feel like that, psychologically, and the reason why I'm telling you that for everybody is I think that's important to know. It's like when the market's like this, it looks like such an easy short, but yet we're not making any money short. So I just feel that sometimes you need to just dumb it down and be like, this is what it is. And even though we miss a trade, like on AMD, you can just still wait and get short. When these things start to pop, you cannot say, let's stop trying to find bottoms. Why does it look like this? And I say to myself, I want to buy 142.50. Yeah, it's been holding, but maybe when it breaks is when you want to look to go short. Because we look over here and I always say oh man, this market's only down 1.5. It can get down 2. It can get down 2.5. It could get down lower. So to sit here and be like trying to base out a decision because of where the market is right now, you sort of sometimes got to zoom out and say like, you know, where exactly can we go? And I mean, the NASDAQ, we talked about this 14.3 area. Like if it loses that, we've already wicked down right there to 14.3, 19.3, 19.228. Like it's not going to get any better if we break that level. So sometimes it's like maybe wait for the short to come in and be a little more patient. And I'm just saying that because, again, like just noticing what's happening around us. And we talk about that all the time. And I know that there's some guys on our chat right here that are probably frustrated, maybe trying to catch bottoms here. And you're not alone. It happens to everybody. We just bought some nice 65.50s there. So see what I mean? That was a good trade. So now let's reward ourselves and get some out at 80. So there it goes. Like trying to be patient and wait for your positions to come in. Either you can wait for a pop higher, right, to short, or do some work and try to find some bottoms. And those, Neil, of course, as you and I know, are the trickiest things to find. I mean, trying to catch bottoms is one thing. Waiting for it to base out.
That's the harder part.
Where you have like, okay, now it's time to go. Like those are the tricky spots because it's so hard to put in a large amount of shares when the market's going against you. So sometimes with the trend, it's just so much easier. And then there goes Tesla
Tesla
again.
is suddenly now strong again.
Like, this is what I mean. Like, you know, we'll trade strong stocks if we can find them. They're just hard to find. And like, I trusted Tesla. I think I did a great job finding Tesla. But when it breaks this level, I got to get out, right? Because why? It goes down another $1 on that bottom wick. But can you hold it is the question. And you know, for me, the answer was no there.
Yeah, when in doubt, I think, good one. I just saw chat in the chat just say it.
What's up, chat?
When in doubt, zoom out. Like, that's what you have to do in situations like this. So I was just going across the board. I mean, obviously, we know Tesla 220. Ignore that dark pool wick. It doesn't really get back into 210 to give you something in here to work along off of. I'm tempted to look at Microsoft because it's still green on the day. Ignore the dark pool wicks. But this is the right area on Microsoft. Like, I don't think I'm not looking at the wrong spot, right? Like Friday close, Friday resistance. Like, that's the spot that if I'm either long out in front of that, or if it breaks, like your support's all the way down here or maybe at 415. So I think I'm at least looking at the right spot when it comes to that. I mean, Tesla's looking awfully strong at this point. And Cody for you videos, he said sometimes it's going to be on days like today, you can look at different names, like squeeze names, something like a GameStop. Well, unfortunately, GameStop was looking strong. There's your break at 24. Suddenly you're losing 24 for resistance. So I don't like this unless it's back above the 24 level. I can go over to Unity, which got the upgrade. Now it's starting to look strong again. So I was long Unity. It failed at 18, pulls right back into 1740. Now it's back above VWAP. This looks a little bit better to me. It was part of the plan for the long, and now it's trying to hold on to VWAP. It's kind of a blue sky setup if it can hold above the 18 level, but VWAP comes into play now, and I have a name up 9% when the market's going down that just got above VWAP. I'm going to go back over to Unity for a little VWAP consolidation long. Not many things look like this chart, so why not find strength where there already was before the market even opened?
So Juan Padilla, Uncle Sean, put me on the floor. I'll make it green. Yeah, I mean, we'll make it rain at some point too. Yeah, look, if you want to, we do have the Real Trading Campus program, which is on board right now again, so you can check that out. Are we supposed to advertise this today? They may be full. I don't even know. But go over here, realtrading.com/campus and start your goals today, especially Juan. If you are a resident of Canada, you can apply for this program. But otherwise, you can go over to Real Trading and just check them out to begin with. You don't have to join the campus program, of course. So, but yeah, that's one way to join this office. And of course, we talked about that over and over again with Brankles and Wayne and the office changing into the campus model. So we're going to have a lot, hopefully, of students or, you know, traders that are looking for that model.
Fresh meat.
Yeah, to come. Well, that's what the market looks at them. That's for sure. As we talked about that, most people will come in here and be that fresh meat. So don't be that. You know, join the campus model today and learn about proper trading before you actually execute in live. So that is the campus model. Make sure you go check that out right now at realtrading.com/campus. But All right, so that was just real quick right there. Look, we bought some more Nvidia. I was going to talk about Nvidia, but we bought some more TQs here, and it's just the spot that we reloaded. Let's see if we can get it again. I mean, I just can't believe we just went from there to there in 1 minute. Looks like we are now losing the bottom pretty rapido right now to the downside. So it does not look like longs are going to win. Bitcoin, a good trade there on Mara, but Bitcoin is losing right now down to 58. Breaker down to 57.9 right now as we continue to go lower, lower, lower. And yeah, man, again, psychologically, I see the same things happening over and over again. We talked about that. Why is this such a tough day? I think if the market was ripping, the office could be green. It's the downside move looking to fade these moves and buying dips. Not been correct, man. The NASDAQ is losing it on the first day of September as it continues to get lower and lower and lower.
Nvidia breakdown at 112
again. Oh wow. It's okay. So this 64. I don't want to give it.
There's like 500,000 on this bid.
Okay, so go over to Neil's screen because I'm just checking this out. But TQs are breaking.
Yeah, 112 has about 500,000 shares on it on Nvidia here. Oh, did they just break? Yeah, it just broke. What did I get there? 92s on Nvidia was what I just got.
Right.
Still some stickies out there.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's starting to. I mean, it got down to, what is the bottom in here? It got down to like 80 something, and now we're right back in those mid 90s. So it just broke. Like I said, there was about 500,000 shares on the bid at the 112 level. So I took the break. At the end of the day, you can want to short pops all you want. There just wasn't a short to pop. If we get back above the quarters, I'm out. There's a lot of volume churning through. Oh, wow, that's a lot. You see the volume?
Out. I did not see it.
I don't know if it's, okay, well, sorry, I wasn't a level 2, guys. I was in the chart. That's my bad. But there was a lot of volume that came in off that 90 bid the last time. So the breakdown's not necessarily going to work in here. I want a low of the day break to work right away. I don't want to get trapped at the bottom. I've been trying to short pops and pretty much everything chip related, but nothing has come to fruition. Oddly enough, I know I'm in Unity. Unity is a little bit different. It's been a strong stock. So we like that to the long side. The next play on Nvidia, if we don't retest the low underneath 112, then we're back to waiting for something along lines of VWAP. Like this is what the chart of Nvidia looks like on a 15-minute. Like you've broken bottoms, you're trending down. If it makes a bottom, great. We all like it when stocks go up, but shorting the pops has been a incredibly patient game. Like I'm sitting here trying to get 143 on AMD. Maybe I'm able to get it the next time through, but then the third time, is that even going to be a charm? The other one, which is making some sense, is going to be Intel, not at VWAP, but just at $21. So, forget about this line. That's $21.75. Forget about VWAP. If we just never break back above 21 here, this is looking like a reasonable entry point for a short trade. So Unity's back above VWAP. That's why we're long it. Right in here is just a consolidation above VWAP, simple price action. It's holding on to higher lows as the market is continuing to flush. So I do like this for a long and worthy of giving a couple of shots to. As long as this holds on to 1780, just realized I didn't have my stop in. Let's get it in now. As long as it holds on to 1780, we're going to like this to the long side. Mara is now through 16 and looking still weak. At this point, if we get back above 15.9, I want to jump out. 15 is huge support on Mara. If Mara gets to $15 today, I'm looking long because it's bounced off that level every single time it's gotten down here on the daily chart. But until we get there, I'm trailing it.
And I was just going to say, like, even when, I mean, a good, kudos to Neil for trying to go short there on Nvidia because, even when we're short, it can still do those moves and take you out. And it's just like, it's a little frustrating here as we go today for sure. But there's that 112 break. I know Neil just covered it. Tesla, yeah. I mean, again, like it's just so crazy that we had this 214. Like I'm sitting here in the futures, and I really, really like the futures here, obviously, to trade. And I don't know if they're going to work out. They're probably not, as we're still at bottoms. But Tesla, I mean, we definitely picked the right equity, I feel like, to get long. And unfortunately, we did get stopped out there. But look at this move, right back up to 217. So, if we had held Tesla from 940, like we could have just got flat. Well, we would have been up a lot because we would have averaged in. But at the end of the day, right there, 217, a decent level there for Tesla. Watch out for that one to come through right now as it's trying to get back up to that level. So 217 and change, looking like it wants to come through. All right, I mean, look, we've been patient, man. We're back to flat now. I mean, Mara, I guess, is going to be green, hopefully, as well. But this is going to be the only green stock so far, TQQs. And it's just holding on. Like, if this tanks in, then we're in trouble. But we've been averaging in. It just went up to 57 there. That didn't even get us back to green. So this is what I'm saying. Like, fighting a name that I feel like we've been doing good on, and it's still not like a huge winner. So that's going to be a problem. Palantir coming back in again. I think this is a buy here for sure. It's just what I think right now is that the futures need to get going and give us some kind of confirmation. So right now we'll wait for that to happen. But Palantir down at 31 looks interesting enough to me, man. Did AMD break 140? Like how bad are we getting?
It's not that bad.
So AMD is actually.
It's not that bad. It's not bad enough yet.
Like I look at that and think like 142 we should be going long, but then is that a trap? I mean, if anything, and I know that you tried to push that or get short, which was good at 112, but that looks like that's going to be a trigger zone too, because this is not filling to the short. So this is going to be a real key area right now to see what happens. If this market loses this, then yeah, the futures just try to get going. We talked about where it could go. What did we say, 19.3? Well, it's 19.3 right now. So we had talked about that up here. Should have, I guess, waited and been a little bit more patient. But here we go, baby. Let's see if the futures can get back going with these TQQs back up to the upside again. Anything you want to talk about before we go?
Well, Mara just trailed out, so maybe we are making a bit of a bottom. So Mara, like the one short, that, obviously I tried Nvidia on the bottom break, that didn't work, but the one short that was kind of to the plan at least, just trailed back out underneath 515.9. I am still in Unity. It's basically flat. It's at 18. I'm at 17.97. But if we get back into VWAP, I still might favor this. But the longs are starting to look a little bit better than they were a couple of seconds ago. Let's get on over to the small cap recap. A few of those are moving around a little bit.
Weakness here in the IWM, as we're seeing with a lot of these indices today, including the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, down more than 1.5% right now for the Russell 2000. Bit of a topping tail candle forming right now on the 3-minute that we do have a lot of volume getting traded. Branch Out Foods, this is actually a runner from last week on Wednesday, announcing their revenue projections here for 2024. Currently up here more than 80%. They do have a float here of about 4.4 million shares. No catalyst here for Motorsport Games MSGM, but they're up about 15% right now. Seeing a little bit of volume, especially earlier in the day, and they do have a float of just over 1.5 million shares. Last but not least, Conifer Holdings. This one, a bit farther here from its high of day, but still up more than 40%, announcing the sale of its insurance agency operations and also announcing the appointment of a new CEO for CNFR, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and there was a mover that we just, we didn't ignore it, but it's worth mentioning here. After the big earnings run, Affirm just huadung to the downside, big time.
Affirm, oh, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Was it 46? What was the top today?
45. 45.00, the actual high on Affirm. It got to the even dollar, and it's been up a few days in a row in a bit of a squeeze play. Affirm losing 43, that's a gap to 41. So watch out for Affirm. I know a lot of people were looking at that. The last couple of days have been good longs on Affirm. If you're long it now, I hope you took profits because that's starting to look a little bit nasty. If it loses to 43, I still got to think that's usually it's a flat bottom break I'm going to like, but I'm not shorting any bottoms. Done with shorting bottoms at this time of day. Unity just double tapped 1810 and still not breaking out the top. We got out of the long originally, back into it above 17.9, added to it right at about $18, and just got to 18.10 and is trying to turn around. I still think there's good room for this. You want it holding above 18, which is great, and then suddenly, if you hold 18, this next level on the daily is 18.40, and then here's 18.50. If it gets to 40 to 50, I'm thinking out because that's major resistance on the daily chart. So at least something is strong and trying to go to the upside, but you got to ring the register the way this market's going. And now Tesla is manic.
Exactly. People that are.
What's the word I want? What's the word for this?
Missed opportunity. It is going meme crazy. Remember,
Jekyll and Hyde.
I was telling you about this. This is what Palantir is going to do one day. Okay, so yeah, Jekyll and Hyde for sure. And we talked about that with Tesla. Whatever, man. I'll spend the money for everybody. I dropped it out. I think a lot of you probably held it. Great call there. And bipolar, it's just crazy that, bipolar, maybe. That is a good one. But anyways, there's the 214 long, 212, I said, ultimate bottom, man. You know where we got to? 212.50. So that's why. I'm happy that at least we talked about it. We were on this stock, but we did drop it there and didn't get back in. We switched over to the futures, which doesn't have anywhere near the trajectory. The futures should be up here, man. That Tesla has. We just bounced off of. We were in the money on this trade, by the way. It went to 67s. We were waiting at 68. So we'll sit there again, see if we get that fill. Hopefully, it will come back up to, or come back to the upside there on that pull. So we'll wait and hopefully be able to get that upside. I just didn't want to get out for flat. You know, if we're going to hold this, let's see if it can work. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing right there. Great job, Coffee Trader. I mean, I hope the sticky note at least was able to help you out just a little bit on that play, getting long at 212.50 in between 212.50 and 213. So great call. We also did, and it's just about missing calls, man, for me today. We did also talk about Palantir being down there, and again, just didn't have faith that it really wanted to go back up. And part of that is sitting in these futures and not wanting to be overexposed. So I'm going to have to mentally think about that so I don't have to deal. Apple, you know what the other name I want to look at actually? Let's do this. Intel. Intel was a name. Okay, $21 now. So we wrote down again, of course, 22. Like we said, some trades you'll miss. And that one never gave us an opportunity to trade 22, but it did give us VWAP right there again. I know you tried Nvidia, and Neil, it's still at that same level. I don't know if
it's not over yet.
Right. I just don't know if the futures will go unless this name goes. So I feel like me and Nvidia are kind of married here with I'm hoping for it to go up. I almost think it's worth a shot long here. But as I said, man, we get into that sort of that mindset that, hey, man, there has to be a bottom, but there doesn't have to.
There doesn't always have to be a bottom, but there can be.
Come on, future.
There can be strong stocks. And another one that, look, a lot of people in the chat have said Oracle, and I've seen a few mentioning this name. I'm just going to pivot over to something, like I said, there's very few names when you're at the bottom that are going to be at tops like this, and Oracle is doing it, and it's breaking out this top. This is a local high on Oracle, so shout out to everyone that's looking at this long. It's a 141.5 or so on that daily. You're clearing out the 142. So a joint of trend, man, the volume's not that great. But a joint of trend in here would require it to either go back into VWAP or hold on to 142 for a top-end move. Still in Unity. I'm looking for Mara to maybe come back in and give us a reload.
Is it cold in here?
So Mara, it's been the VWAP game on Mara. This is the only one that's gone to structure.
Holy.
So if we get back to VWAP, that's now 16.10. I mean, Bitcoin's not doing much. It's at 15.8, holding on. So if we get down into or back up into 16.10, I'll look to roll this one over. Is Tesla really going to double tap 220? Just going over the big levels that are starting to come in here. You know I'm going to want to short Mara at that 16 level or 16.10. But Tesla 220 is coming in pretty quickly here. Missed the opportunity to go short at this level before. I think it's a little distinctly different after you grab the bottom. If Tesla decides to break out this top, it was a great short the first time through. But if we're at the lows and this is breaking the top, you don't want to fight it over 220. Like the short under, but to me, that's a long over on Tesla 10 times out of 10. Nvidia's not moving much. I don't even know what to say about it. Now Nvidia's got a 30, 40 cent range at the bottom, and I don't know what you do with that. You can pick a direction and try to go. AMD is very similar. I'm trying to get VWAP on AMD. Look at the movement down here, almost non-existent. So you got to watch out for this because I feel like you're going to break one way or the other, and if the stock isn't at the price you want, you don't have to trade it. So yeah, now you can't get above 16, Mara. All right, if you can't get to VWAP, one more chance as the market's going up here to try to get into VWAP. Otherwise, I just try to short this 16 level as well. 132 Wolf, you want to look at Coin? Yeah, we can look at Coinbase. I'm staring at Mara thinking that's a short. Maybe Coinbase is going to be better here. Just a little stronger.
Yeah,
we're
Coinbase.
So remember,
177?
I was just looking at Mara underneath VWAP, a little bit weaker. Coin was looking a little bit stronger, 177. What's the key price here? That low was 178. So, 178 looks like a good short. So forget about VWAP. 178 looks like the key level in there. You always try to pick one, or I always try to pick one. Mara's the one I like. Yeah. So if we can get this 16 level, I like the fact that Coin just pulled back as well. That's going to lead me to this instead of VWAP on Mara. We'll see if we can get something in the high 90s here to reload that short. But Coin not looking good. That 178, a pretty good level for you in there. All right, Tesla, about $2 away from 2020. I think that's a big level if it comes in there. If Nvidia breaks the bottom again, I probably try the short again. Because if the market can't bounce here, where's it going to bounce?
We got a 25% of the TQ trade. I just wanted to say, like, yeah, that 78 level, we did this in the pre-market. That, remember, I was like you could take 180, but I thought that was a little bit of a risk. But yeah, that 178, I agree 100% right there on the 20-minute chart. So we were talking about shorting that. You would have got a nice trade, obviously, down there, $3. But like I was mentioning, remember when the spread was 30 cents? I was like, that's a good spread. Yeah, right now it's 50 cents. So there it goes. All right, market. So again, Nvidia doing nothing, so we won't really look there right now. But again, a bunch of good outs. So let's just go money bags. There's going to be two positive names here today, I think. I think there's going to be Mara, and there's going to be the TQs. Other than that, I think maybe your Unity as well could go. But right now, man, I'm going to be here to tell you, I've only traded 3 names, so it's, we've kind of gone over them. That was Tesla right there, ashamed to have gotten out there. Not ashamed, I mean, it fit the plan. And then Palantir was fine. Palantir, we just lost 31. I was pretty happy getting out of where we did, 31.08, because it goes down to 30.90. We tried that earlier. Now everything seems to be barcoding a little bit. But you know what? That is a good call there by Marco in the chat. As Alibaba had a good day on Friday and then fell near the end of the day, right? It started to get going there on some China, the regulators here eased up on them. They had sort of concluded their investigation. But then all day, there was like a $2.6 billion fine or something holding over Alibaba's head that got lifted. So that was a huge relief there from look at this move, man. We didn't even talk about this on Friday, I don't think. $81 up to 85. No, we did. But then it came back in and bounced off of 82.50. Well, right now you're at this 82.50 area again. So I'm wondering, not going to go long immediately or anything like that, but if you fall back into the 50 here of 82.50, which would be the 50-period moving average, as well as VWAP, you are going to have some kind of reasons to go long on Alibaba. A strong name that got hit really hard on Friday, but started off well today and could get a pullback. Alibaba, good one, Marco, and anybody else in the chat that was looking at this name. I think Alibaba has a chance. But the market's right back at its lows again. So if you shorted Tesla, good on you. I feel like this is another long, but where is the long going to come in? I don't know. Let's go find out more about crypto, because crypto right now, 58,000, Bitcoin trying to hold. Is it? Let's go find out if others are holding up well as well at the big desk with Adara.
Beware of Intel here as well before we move on to crypto. They're supposed to apparently have their Core Ultra launch event here on September 3rd, so beware of INTC seeing some reports of this and also seeing some confirmation of this event on their website. In terms of crypto, we did discuss earlier today the general weakness in the month of September for the market. Bitcoin actually entering, mirroring this. So we have here from FX Street this graphic. September here, average return for BTC of negative 4.78%. That is the lowest average return of all of the months. Second lowest median return here as well for Bitcoin. So September, much like it's weak here for the rest of the markets, tends to be a bit of a weaker month for Bitcoin, though last year actually gained about 4%. So keep an eye on BTC this month. Starting off with a bit of a red note here, now back below that 58,000 level. The last few days we've been chopping in between 57 to 59,000. So let's see if BTC can break out of this trend to the upside or the downside. Right now, down just about 1%. Ethereum also notably weaker than it was earlier today. Pre-market, it was above 2,500. Now we're just holding on to 2,450. Some strength in some of these other names, though, just barely. Ripple and Dogecoin both at less than 1%. BNB up almost 1%. But then we have names like Solana, Tron, Toncoin, Cardano, all down a little bit today. So generally weaker for crypto, much like what we're seeing with the market here, guys.
Yeah.
Right back into the lows. So, look, I didn't get those mid-90s in Mara, let's be real. So didn't catch those. Nvidia broke 112 again. I didn't get filled in the 90s like last time when it broke the evens, but the low of the day was down around 80 anyway. So I was able to get the low of the day break and got 71s. That's now trending back in. Okay, bit of a buyer stepping in here at one of my favorite numbers. We'll see if we can get something out halfway into 111. But yeah, Nvidia bleeding to the downside. Unity just lost VWAP. So Unity, I mean, the initial trade in Unity was good, but then we longed it in this consolidation. It lost. and now it's back underneath VWAP. We'll let it try to find a support level. It might just be 1735. Like, who knows if you lose VWAP forever. But Nvidia took a third shot at this one to the downside. Now you're holding underneath the 112. Just got to short the pops. I think forget about the level that you want it to pop to. Just look to where it's actually popping to and be willing to take that. I know that's easy to say after the fact. Like, look at Mara at 16. By the time I decided I didn't want VWAP and wanted 16, it was gone. So next pop, if we get back in here, we're going to look to short. If we get lower highs, great. Even Intel, we're looking at 21. Cancel that now because we just broke the lows. We're looking at 21. No 21s available. It's just stairs to the downside. There was this nice consolidation at 2080 into about 2090. That's the next target area. If we bounce back into that zone, look to join the short on Intel at that price. Not just the one you want, what the market's willing to give you. If you're willing to join the trend, you should be able to find something. And I'm going to go to the other name I'm looking at. I have one other chart up. It's going to be Tesla. Tesla just bouncing off VWAP here. Is Tesla back to being relatively strong? Let's get some confirmation first, but it doesn't look nearly as bad as it did a few minutes ago. Intel still looks like junk. Bitcoin's still weak, so Mara still looks weak. Nvidia's still looking weak for now. Tesla's trying to hold on for life. Let's look for some confirmation at VWAP. The last time, it got to VWAP and blew right through it, so you don't want to be sitting there catching a falling knife. Let's know what you guys are watching. JP Swade saying CCL blast from the past. Please tell me it's strong. Kind of. Yeah. See, this is what you want to find. Nice upward trend that is completely ignoring what's happening in the market, except for possibly being inverse to the market. There isn't even a red candle on CCL today. There you go. Mr. Swade, you found yourself a good one. This is what you always want to try and find on a day like today. Just buy the dips into the trend line and let it fly. CCL's done this before, so since holding VWAP, the trend is something along these lines. Buy into the trend if it can. So the new position for me was just Nvidia when it retook the low of the day. I want to try and reload this on any pops back into the 112 and go from there. If we catch Intel, we catch Intel. Maybe CCL sets up for some kind of a long. I don't know the reason it's up, but who cares if it's strong when the market isn't?
All right, man. Yeah, I'm with you on all fronts right now. Trade the stronger names. We've talked about that over and over again. And and how hard it is to be in the right names when this kind of move happens. It's, sometimes you got to throw out the first 5 or 10 minutes and then get your bias and then go. We were biased short from the beginning. When the market was, in the pre-market, we were biased short. So for us to be not up anything short is crazy. And we've talked about that over and over again. So kind of don't want to beat a dead horse there. But there comes the market. We've done okay on this one, but now we're sitting in a loser. So there's not much we could do now, man. We were trying to protect that 19.3 area and trying to give it right to this bottom of the TQs, which looks like it's trying to do right now. So we've come into there. Well, obviously, this is low. This is a daily chart. So we're coming right into these levels right here, 64.50. So if we break there, then we'll just have to throw in the towel. And I think we did a good job of, it's hard to sit here and say like we've done a good job averaging in because we haven't. Obviously, we'd be long here. But to be down 30 cents and have taken profit, I think it's been a decent run here for this. So I'm not going to sit here and complain too hard about the trading so far. It's just, it sucks that we haven't been able to really sort of pick out bigger moves. And so that's what I'm going to talk about there. We are into Tesla. Again, back into VWAP. I like the strength here. So we'll buy that. We'll see if we can get something at 217, sort of that little drop area there, 217.30. 217.30 would be 90 cents. So if it comes back up into there, let's put an offer and see if we can get that. But my whole day, and we'll talk about this, is going to be basically waiting to see what these futures want to do. And right now, they want to go the other way. So futures right now, I just heard Sharif say something, and I think it was downside. And there it goes. Market still
maybe Polestar.
But Tesla right now, hey, there it is, man. It's a 70-cent winner. So your boys here, man, we've talked about it. No real winners today. That Mara was great. Let's see if we can finally get Tesla 217.20s. Here it is, Neil. 70 cents, man. We got that one. It's a chicken dinner winner. Finally coming back there for TSLA, but it's only a winner if you get out, right? So let's wait to see what winds up happening now. with Tesla. It's the futures that we're sort of resting on here.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. You got to be patient. Tesla came into VWAP, it's set up, nothing else was, and then there you go. So I think it's a great one. I wasn't joking. Polestar is up a lot. Like I was saying, maybe Sharif is on about Polestar. No, it is up 15%.
Booyah!
So I wasn't like that was not a bad Polestar joke or anything along those lines. It's strong. Why do I already forget what the news was on Polestar? Oh yeah, because it's Polestar.
Yeah, same.
That's the Polestar joke. But no, this is actually a good-looking stock. I have nothing against it in this moment. But the market is still testing lower. But I got to look at the bottom that's being put in here potentially. It was that 112 break that just happened on Nvidia. It just tagged like 35, I think, is the low. And it just double tapped it and can't break this local high. So now all of a sudden 111.80 looks like the resistance on Nvidia. And if it breaks that, maybe we're headed right back in to VWAP or something along those lines. Ooh, of course, I just jinxed it. I just jinxed Tesla. Well, I was like, I wanted to wait for a little more confirmation on it off of VWAP because I know I tried the VWAP drop on Microsoft. First time good, second time not. But you get the confirmation that we're holding above. And the second I like it, it's probably going to drop to 216. So I'm into it now. Let's get on over to Sector Watch with Adara.
Unsurprisingly, we have quite a few sectors that are sharply lower here, including electronic technology. Most of these names here very much to the downside, especially if you're looking at semiconductors. Technology services not faring much better either. Netflix sharply to the downside, but Adobe actually slightly up ahead of its earnings. Not this Friday, but the Friday after. So ADBE, bit of a bright spot in this sector. Other weak sectors include finance, producer manufacturing, energy minerals notably weak as we continue to see some oil weakness. Crude oil actually giving up its 2024 gains amidst ongoing production disruption issues. Also weak are industrials here and non-energy minerals. In terms of strength, we actually do have some stronger sectors. One of them is going to be health services. We also have consumer non-durables with quite a bit of strength with the exception of Nike. Utilities pretty strong here as well. And consumer durables, though we have a lot of red names. TSLA actually trying to bring this group up here. So really interesting sector board here, guys.
It really is an interesting one. Like
Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, Tesla's trying to hold that VWAP. Nvidia just took 111.5, so it's now down at the 111 mark. It continues to bleed to the downside. Adam DeLuz, you're right about this. Thank you for the super chat. Patience is key. Markets go up and down. They do both, last I checked. And that means you can, if you like longs, there's always a long somewhere. If you like shorts, there's always a short somewhere if you're patient enough and you can go ahead and find it. So appreciate that super chat. You know, we're trying to do our best to be patient. It's not always easy being patient. So Mark came back to 16. This local high is like 16.03. I think I should already have a stop in there and out and above that. For the first time, we tried that short, which we didn't get, and maybe I didn't jinx it after all.
There it goes. Yeah. Let's go for chicken dinner winners again. You're coming through with some chicken dinner winners on Tesla right now. And I mean, Tesla should be a monster stock. We should be up thousands, hundreds, tens of dollars on this stock. It's just like, got dropped out there, but we've been buying VWAP. And so there it is, man. A couple 70-cent winners back to back right there. We just got, I mean, again, you know, we just got out 17s. We just got out at 216.98. This reload, I mean, you can see where it was right here, 16s. That's 70 cents back to back right there. So even if this stock drops in, I'm not reloading it anymore. We'll watch. If it drops in, we'll get out, right? Breaking 215.50, that's going to be our stop. So we've just gone sort of, you know, again, in there and out, in and out. Like just keep on getting that going again on Tesla, as it's a strong name. So we'll sit here and try to see. And if the market loses it, I mean, we're already trading the market right now. We did have an opportunity to get some out. It just ripped up, not ripped, but it went to 65, basically, the futures, which put us 30 cents out. I'm not going to cry over spilt milk here. This trade is not horrible. We were able to get out of it all. Not all of it. Well, we're still in a lot of it. But right now we are coming back in. And I want to give this, and if it drops through, well, it's just about to drop out right now. I was going to say if it drops too much through the 66.50 area right here, then we're going to be gone. And that's right where we are right now. So yeah, man, just teetering right now on the brink of exhaustion now is the TQQs. So this trade is getting nastier and nastier as the market just keeps on falling. And it's being led by, and I know you have that Nvidia trade. This is what's leading it, man. Nvidia continues to make that move lower. So there goes Nvidia right now through 111. So Nice downside push there for NVDA. I'm going to take advantage and get some out if the futures do pop up. But right now we're right at a kill spot.
Technically, Intel is the weakest name on my quote board.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a distinction without a difference. A lot of things.
Not leading.
Oh, that's not true.
Boeing's down 8.
Yeah, you know what? No. For some reason, I just refreshed it. And I was like, wait a minute, no, that's wrong.
Yeah, Nvidia's down.
No,
more.
it was weird. Like for some reason, Intel was actually there, and then I refreshed it, and Boeing and Nvidia are weaker. So that's my bad. That was just my quote board that was off. Oh, Boeing was the other one. Man, it's frustration because we like the Boeing short, but it doesn't matter what you like. It's what you can get at the end of the day. So Tesla bounced. It got to the 17 level. It broke the 16 level. What are you going to do? Like if it can hold on to VWAP, it's still a relatively strong name. I do want to give it the chance to maybe hold on a little bit more, and we can try something else. We just got in 97s on Mara. I want to give it to the local high here. We're just risking about 5 cents. It's not a VWAP. We can always get back into VWAP. Nvidia, we tried it. This is the third time that we're short on Nvidia. And if 110, like it's almost 11 o'clock, I'm willing to guarantee, that's a bad word to say. There's a high probability that Nvidia 110 is going to have a lot of buyers and a big bid on the level. So if it wicks it down there, I do want to jump out of this trade. Nvidia is down already 7 points. So 7% down to start the week. Going into lunchtime, I'm expecting 10 to have a bid. And if you like the short, you can always rejoin it somewhere. Stick a fork in Intel and just forget about getting on the offer sometimes.
Tesla broke.
Like I got on the offer of Intel when it made a consolidation. I then tried to catch it when it was breaking down 2070. And like a lot of other shorts, it's not letting you in the patient way when everything is dropping into the downside. So it's looking nasty. Daryl Flinch, the 100-day on Nvidia's 110. There you go. 110's a nice number. 110's a round number. Everyone's going to be looking at it. And it's the 100 period as well. Then that's a more reason, I think, to get out in front of that trade going station to station. Here. It looks like the $0.50 is already catching a bid.
I mean, there goes Tesla to the downside. So it does break 215. So again, we averaged it in at the 50 period, so 215.75 before dropping out right there. So yeah, man, there's blood in the streets today. It looks like as we continued. Okay, now it's starting to get worse. So now these futures are starting to come in. We're going to get out to 75% of this trade right now. So there's the fail there on the futures. Like I said, man, not many green names at all here today. I don't have any green names at all on the board, so it's been a disaster as the market down 2%. And like I told you, man, we'll be the honest truth, man. There's not going to be a green trader here today, so we're going to wait to see if anything can hold. It may not hold, but one market that always seems to be, up and, really consistently going. Great technology over there. A market that we talk about, especially recently. You've had some good ADRs starting to move around. We could talk about some of those Japanese names, Chinese names, cannabis names. And what better of a time to do that than right now with Mr. Jeff Mendle. Let's bring on Jeff Mendle right now from the OTC markets. Jeffrey, how are you doing today, my friend? Looking spiffy as usual. It's been a minute. How was your summer? And looking forward to more, contact with you as we head into the fall.
Gentlemen, good to see you both. I guess it's fitting too with the football season coming right.
Here we go.
Around the corner this weekend. We'll see how everything shakes out.
You still positive about the Cowboys?
It's gonna be another Buffalo Cowboys. Is it going to be
Rico Dowdle time
upsetting year, or what are we in for?
You guys, we paid our quarterback. You guys didn't pay your quarterback. Okay, so CeeDee Lamb just got paid, and now all of a sudden, everyone wants their money. So you got to pay your team if you want them to do well.
Get paid.
Like right now, here's the analogy I'm going to give you. Nvidia just bled 7.5% down into 110. So this chart of Nvidia is my thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys season. That's what I want to give to you. But the question I have is, so look, we just had like a big pullback in the market. Obviously, you've seen it. The volumes going into this quarter had been sort of light going into a long weekend. Now we come out of the other end of this. What's standing out for you in terms of names? Because I looked over at the OTC most active. And you got Tencent, which has over 5,000 trades. That's been moving around a bit. You got the IDDY, and it's just, it seems to me like the high flyer names, it's sort of just go back into the well, like don't stray on a day like today. The volume's where it usually should be, and the Chinese ADRs, like everything else, they're taking it on the chin, no matter what they happen to be here today. But I'm seeing Tencent leading the way. What are you seeing on your end?
Yeah. I mean, kind of looks like the same thing's kind of going on over here as well too.
Wow,
most of the names are down right now. One name that doesn't pop up every day, but it has in the past, is Rolls-Royce, RYCEY. Decent amount of volume this morning. It's down 6%. I think, when I got on the show a minute ago, it was only down about 4.5%, 5%. So this thing's moving around a little bit. RYCEY, Rolls-Royce, it's a name that everyone has kind of heard before. Once in a while pops up and trades a decent amount here. So definitely that's one to look at. You also mentioned the cannabis space too. I think we got TCNNF, TrueLeaf, right? That's actually up about 4% today. So I don't know what's going on up in Canada, but if it's an indication, is this name specific or is it kind of across the board with cannabis? But another great name to look at. This is listed up in Canada and also trades down here at OTC markets. That's TCNNF. It's another good name to look at.
Well, there was, I think it was the Trump administration at least made some somewhat positive comments. I believe, was it Florida? I think it was.
Florida.
It was Florida with regards to legalization. So I think the entire group, and when the group is up, let's be real, when the weed names are hot, you want to trade them. And when they're not, you want to stay somewhat far away from them. But this it is heading back in and pulling back. I think that's just because the market, sometimes when there's no follow-up on cannabis news, you go right back in. Rolls-Royce was an interesting one because that daily chart looks pretty solid there on a Rolls-Royce. But when you look at TrueLeaf, I think for a lot of the traders out there, you're like, well, can you trade these? Can you look at them just like any other trade? When I see this, I mean, that seems relatively tradable. There is a stable area of support. I feel like I'm looking at a chart of Rivian, for lack of a better example. Like, you've got support levels, you can trend it a little bit here. This almost looks like a swing trade type of stock where you've got defined support and resistance that holds up for a couple of days in there. So I think there's some interesting names looking. And I think as we're alluding to, Jeff, one of the things, if you want to look at the OTC markets, just check out, and I was on the website, but that's otcmarkets.com, and then you look at current market activity. I like to see the number of trades in addition to volume. Personally, I think you want to see how many trades are going through, the more active you are. But when you're swinging it, some of these stocks are interesting for a few days, holding some key levels. And your Rolls-Royce, that had been trend up for a while, Jeff. There was a strong looking stock before today.
Yeah, definitely one to look to. Also for those scalpers out there too. It's kind of a lower price name. Yeah. With usually a decent sized bid and offer out there. So, depending on if you're swing or just, some scalping intraday stuff, always a good one to look at. And then, you met, sticking with the automotive, you mentioned Rivian, BYD, which is BYDDY down here, over here at OTC markets. Another name to look at, in the EV space, BYDDY. Another one to look at, down about 2% today, kind of on par with everything else.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands that there is LKNCY as well, Luckin Coffee. Like, when you're talking about some of this stuff with Rolls-Royce and things like that, I think it's important that everybody understands, Jeff, that there is a lot of liquidity here. I mean, here's a live level 2. If we come over to the screen, just want to give Jeff some love here because, there's OTCN, right? So there's the gateway with a lot of volume at level 1. So I think that that's something that a lot of traders need to understand, that they can get instant liquidity by coming over here and trading some of these names. So, this is an LSE name that you can get access to during our live market hours. And of course, down 6%. Let's watch out for Rolls-Royce. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention there, Jeff, that there is a lot of action, especially on the gateway over there with you guys on your ATS. And it's level 1 a lot of the time with pretty much the most, size available. So you want to talk about that? You do get some instant executions there off that ATS, so it provides a good, safe, stable place for traders to execute with. Did you want to talk a little bit about the gateway at all?
Yeah, no, great point too, right? So I love it how we're at the inside when you're showing it there on the level 2. So OTCN is our ECN, right? So it's like the electronic trading venue for the over-the-counter space. So you can put in limits. You can peg to the bid of the offer. You can put in a midpoint. You can put in hidden orders and reserves, and all the order types that you're accustomed to on trading the listed names on New York and NASDAQ. You can do over here too using OTCN. So that means when you're going out there to take an offer or hit a bid, if you see it there, you're going to get that instant electronic fill. You're going to get the execution report right back, and so it gives a feel for like when you're trading, like an Apple or a Tesla or something like that over here in the OTC market. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, John.
Hey, no problem. Always trying to scratch each other's backs around here. We want to thank you for coming through right now. With just about 10 minutes left, did I miss something? Because I know that we were trying to code some of these order types into our platform. Is the closing auction, is there anything been happening with that? Those mechanics, because we saw on Friday, there was big rebalances on the NYSE and NASDAQ. Just wondering how that's working out for you guys. If you've gotten anything further with that, if it's live, any expectations for market on close order types?
Yeah, so we recently introduced a closing auction for the over-the-counter market, which is the first one that's being run out of a venue, I think, ever for the over-the-counter market. And so, they're just like you would see on like NASDAQ with the closing auction process, right? There's an imbalance dissemination feed that starts at 350 every day. So you can see, if there's a buy imbalance or a sell imbalance or kind of what the close is looking like. And so with that too, we have a market on close and limit on close order types as well too. And so we have it live in a handful of names right now, kind of getting people used to it and getting more people connected to it.
Right.
Like I said, it's the first time that it is actually been around in the over-the-counter market, and so
right.
We're seeing some traction in it, and we're looking to expand. So definitely something to kind of keep an eye out for, and we'll be putting updates out on the website too. Pretty soon you'll actually be able to see what the closing auction price and size was. And so definitely something we'll keep you guys in the loop on, and keep it going on the website and really try and get that thing moving into the end of the year.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome because I know that's something that a lot of our traders, and we took advantage of it on Friday on the NYSE, so we'll look to do that as well on the OTC market. So thank you so much, Jeff. And I don't know who the Cowboys play in week 1.
It doesn't matter who they play.
It doesn't matter? Okay.
No, actually, I genuinely don't know. I mean,
I don't know. The Packers, of course, are in Brazil. You been to Brazil there, Mr. Mendle?
I actually have not, but it's going to be a fun game to watch, that's for sure.
That might be a fun vacation spot.
And also, I think the Cowboys, we're playing Cleveland, and
that's
I don't know, man.
That's a tough game.
I think we might get
at home. Is it at home?
Cleveland doesn't suck anymore, man. That's a good team. You guys are in trouble. We got Arizona. We're going to handle Arizona. I think we're going to handle Arizona. Arizona's a pretty good team as well.
Look, if the Cowboys are going to have problems with Cleveland, then let's just call it like it is. It's not going to be their year.
Well, they're on
if they have problems.
They're on the road.
Oh, they're on the road.
They're in Cleveland.
Not in Jerry's world?
No.
All right. Mr. Mendle, thank you so much. One more time, thanks for hopping on with a little bit of late notice there, so we really appreciate that. Keep us updated on all the changes, and we'll have you back anytime.
Awesome, guys. Thanks again. Good seeing you.
Ciao.
Thanks, Jeff.
All righty then. Well, thank you, Mr. Mendle, for that one. Excited to see the market on close and balances for sure.
Yeah, that'll be exciting.
As we've been able to run, the board on that a little bit there, including last week here live, as you saw us take that trade into the close for new holding. Well, what I'm not taking into the close here is going to be Nvidia. We're long right now, 110, basically 18s. So let's see what happens. We actually sold a little bit there once it broke through 110. The first time we're back into it. So we'll be red on it just because we sold some, but we are holding this against that bottom of 109.50 basically. Excuse me, for Nvidia. Yeah, I don't know. This is what it was doing at 112. Remember when it was 112, we're like, oh my God. And then it finally broke. Well, right now, I think that level's 110. So let's see how much more selling Nvidia can handle. Now down 8%. Seems like it can take a lot right there. I was just looking at my notes and was like, why in the heck did I write down TQQ short at 66? You know, like when it bounced up there at 66 right here, where we got it at the 50-period moving average. Again, this doesn't require aggressive journaling or anything like that. This is already 66 right there. We've already wrote that down. We should have indicated that. We could have got out and regrouped on a break. It never broke. So yeah, downside action right there for the triple Qs. And NASDAQ down now 2.27%. So you can lose a lot of money when the market doesn't participate properly. And that's what happened here today. We should have followed our rules. Got out when it broke 66 instead of chasing this. So we went from basically flat to, well, we were up when this was happening, and then gave it all back right here as it falls back down in. So, man, today will not be a green day for me. Nvidia, Palantir, the TQs, and then unfortunately Tesla. I mean, Tesla's not as bad as potentially it could have been.
At least it was relatively strong.
Yeah, at least it was relatively strong, and I think a pull back in for Tesla still would need to be bought, but you might as well wait to where I got out, down here at 213 now, as it doesn't seem to be getting any better. And here comes Nvidia, man, pulling back one more time. Lower goes NVDA, man, down to 109.50 now.
Yeah, I mean, the two mistakes for me this morning was, I think, looking strong stocks to go long instead of maybe considering what would happen if they reverse. So like Meta in here, and then like Meta I took one shot at, so it's like whatever, you took one shot, then it went red, right? So it's not the end of the world. But then Microsoft is the one this is the one that I'll be more upset with, because I took two shots at Microsoft, and each time I got in twice. Like each time I liked it enough to go twice at it. And then look what happens. It then rolled over that same level to give you a short entry point. Nvidia, I got out of Nvidia when it bounced the first time off the 110 level. So that it did happen while we were talking to Jeff. And if it wants to go lower, I kind of thought we'd bounce to maybe short a pop in that. It hasn't happened. And the only thing that has stayed true, it's frustrating in that when you have a bunch of stocks that you like short and they set up, like only one of them gave me the normal trade, where if you don't get the top or you don't get the breakdown, it just gives you the clean VWAP and then lower highs, and that was Mars. So the structure is working there. Bitcoin's down underneath 58,000, so we're still trending to the downside. The market's at the lows. Thank you, Monty G. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. We got the professor, we got Adara, and the lesson, you can't make it up. It's trends. We got one happening right now, and it ain't up, that's for sure. So let's get on over to the midday. We got the professor and Adara. Trend to the downside.
Video 109.
Wow. Oh, the markets are bleeding down.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as that midday show. Wowzers. We